but it reaches up.
Oh,
Yeah.
like coils up. Yeah, that makes sense. Like a snake.
We're working it all out.
As this isn't a snake, that's a dog. Or a hot dog. As the Neferi going to be banned away from Sponge. A Neferi ban on the blue side is just kind of confusing to me. I don't know whether you necessarily need to worry about it. The Neferi we've seen, like, I really don't want to see it again. I feel like it's bait.
It's been doing a lot of losing.
It has.
More losing than winning. Sejuani ban coming out from DRX. Jace coming from Nongshim. You know, the big four top laners at the moment are Gwen, Rumble, Jace, and Ambessa, but Jace kind of has favor in lane against the other three.
Yes.
So, he's a more volatile pick. Definitely takes skill to handle him, but it does make me think potentially Nongshim setting up for maybe a power pick in the top lane, maybe a Gwen first pick.
No, they need to pick the Diana, otherwise the counter will be left up.
Oh yeah, true. What if Rich picks Diana in the Gwen? That would be terrible.
Yeah, so that'd be a disaster.
King would be like, this matchup's unplayable.
Imagine just like banning Diana here. It would be that would be a decision of all time. Could be just the Rumble to be taken away here, and then Kingen sets up for a Gwen.
Maybe even like an AD carry. If there's something you worried, if you want to first pick the Gwen, like if you ban like, oh actually going for Talia instead. I was saying if you ban like Varus, maybe DRX ban Kalista, and then you get Talia or I mean sorry Gwen. But yeah, they go for the Talia ban. Definitely a high prio mid. I feel like we have, like as I said, the big four for top, the big three for mid right now are Ahri, Azir, and Talia.
I think it has to be Gwen. If you want an honest game of League of Legends, I think that Gwen needs to be addressed.
I think it's the safest one to go for in this situation.
Kalista is going to be... okay, Rich. How's your Diana, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm going to check.
A big pick to give over to Kingen, considering his performances out in the LCK Cup. And we'll see what DRX want to respond with. I think Varus being open, definitely the priority. And look at the Azir as well for Yukao.
Yeah, okay. So instead, just going to go down the Xin Zhao Azir route.
Yeah.
To ignore the Gwen situation for now.
Ignoring the Varus as well is interesting to me. I will say, Xin Zhao plus Gwen, that was the old school circles composition where you couldn't hit either of them, so maybe wanted to deny that. And Nongshim, I think matching jungle mid here would be pretty safe. But honestly, I think you probably want an AD carry. So maybe mid AD carry makes the most sense.
Ooh, Poppy.
Going for the Poppy instead, so not really what I expected. Does have some flexibility though, could go in the jungle, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you could flex that towards the jungle if you would like to. I mean, the Aurora, an option into the Azir.
This could be jungle mid, in theory, but the Poppy is a flex, so they're keeping their options open. And they will lock that Aurora in. So that's one thing though with the Poppy jungle, if it was Poppy jungle, doesn't do that much damage. Obviously is AD, but not a ton, and you have double AP solo lanes is my only concern. Now, DRX, I think top lane makes the most sense here. Just if you want to secure something against the Gwen, if you don't have like a Diana up your sleeve, I think you pick top now. You can pick Rumble, you can pick Ambessa, you can pick Jax. Looking like going for the Ambessa we saw played last series in Game 2 by Shiwu into Keen's Gwen.
Didn't work out oh so well, but Ambessa is one of Rich's better champs when it comes to like solo queue performance and things like that as well. So very happy to take the champion. It's just unfortunate that the matchup is a Gwen who just kind of runs the rift.
I think you get to a point where you can duel her. We kind of saw that happen in the previous game, but
whoa, that was like a disco.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
There's like a super lock-in button that we didn't know about that the teams have just learned about now.
Yeah.
Slam the golden button and it just...
Yeah, Teddy was like ready to ban and then like inputted the Konami code and then all of a sudden it was disco. And it was, oh man, that was so cool.
I wish we did that every time.
Yeah.
When all the picks are being done and we just go...
I'm just sad that we're not in there or like still. As I believe, I think the draft kind of blew up because they weren't ready for the Disco Inferno.
It was blinking, so, you know, it makes sense that it might have blown up.
Yeah.
It was a little, maybe Bro responsible, like their tagline is blow it up.
True. So they may have actually just blown it up. So we are going to get back into the draft as soon as possible and make sure that everything is A-okay and we're not going to have any exploding drafts, which is generally for the best, I would say. As pick Heimerdinger.
You know, not sure it'll happen, but you gotta ask for it. If you don't ask, you'll never get.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think you gotta shoot your shot when you have your chance. And he had his chance. And there are still 2 picks for both teams left up and available, right?
Yep. It is presumably I mean, I don't know. I think definitely for the side of DRX, it's a bot lane. Nongshim, I think the Poppy's probably going to support, so maybe jungle AD carry they still need to secure. Interesting, we've seen the Varus go through to this point, considering it's often like a first ban. So we'll see if that gets banned out in the second rotation. I would presume so. It is DRX with kind of the advantage because they get the first pick and the counter pick in this next stage. We'll see if they're able to capitalize on that.
Yep. That last fan sign, by the way, was pretty cute. It said volley bear? No, teddy bear. Because they were a teddy fan.
That's cute.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cute. Thanks for the translation there, G-Sun. Yeah, I wonder whether we're actually in the draft yet. We're going to be speedrunning through it, obviously. So getting back to exactly where we were before, as it was just awaiting some bans for both teams. Having a look at it, though, like, I don't know. Leaving Gwen up is such a risk.
It is. It is. It is. I think this is a problem that, you know, a little bit in this situation where red side just has a lot of things to ban. You're going to have to let something through. It is fearless, so there's less pressure after this. But it is a big hit to take if you do leave over something of just massive value, like the Gwen. We've seen Gwen just carry games.
Yeah.
And, like, yes, the Ambessa can do fine, but I think Rich is going to have to work hard to shut down this Gwen pick. And the thing is, like, the Azir and the Zins out are good picks, but it's like you're playing Azir into Talia. You know, there's scenarios where you can struggle to really make that impact with the big shuffles because of the Unraveled Earth. And right now in the current meta, I don't think either of these picks we have flown through.
Yeah, jump scare bans as all support as the Elise, Nautilus, and the Braum taken away.
Yeah, so they're thinking it's still potentially that Poppy jungle, adding supports away from the hands. Braum ban comes through, which, I mean, indicates maybe it is a Poppy jungle. They're looking for something like an Alistar or Leona. Are they okay to leave the Varus open? To be fair, I think Varus struggles a bit in this composition. Very hard to do damage into
Lulu.
And they ban the Lulu away.
Feels bananas to me.
Yeah. Toying with the idea of the Rakan here for Pleta. Not the easiest game to play a Rakan into, especially with a Poppy on the other side, but to be fair, is any engaged support can have fun into a Poppy?
It also might kind of force at least a consideration of a Xayah out from Jiru, which does mean that they will be pretty short range and just not going to fall for it, as it's going to be Ashe Renata locked in here for Nongshim, and they don't waste any time getting to it as well. I feel like this rounds out this roster really nicely.
I think you have to go like an Ezreal. I don't think you can go Xayah here. The enemy composition is so much disengaged. MF can work. You need something with a bit more range in it. If you opt into something short range, you're just going to get mangled. It's already going to be a pretty rough lane, although Rakan does have to sustain in his Q to kind of mitigate a bit. But, you know, DRX come out in a situation when the bot lane matchup's a little rough. And I remember we were talking while the draft was down about Azir into Talia. Talia was banned, so it's Azir into Aurora. I didn't know I was talking about that.
I did get a little bit confused.
I got a little bit confused, and then I confused you.
Yep.
That's what object permanence. If I don't see it, I forget it. Anyway, so I mean, I think there's some power on the side of Nongshim, particularly this Gwen and the bot lane matchup. On the other side, DRX, I mean, I think they've just got 5 strong picks in the meta. And if they get to team fights, there's a lot of strength there. We'll have to see if they can navigate these lanes and don't let this Gwen get out of hand.
Yeah, the problem for me is 100% the Gwen. I think what they did in the bottom side of the map is perfect for making sure that this Gwen can succeed, right? Just add more utility, more CC, so that the Gwen can just start popping off in these team fights. She's going to be extraordinarily valuable. But DRX fans with bated breath are waiting to see whether they can even out some score lines up against Nongshim, or whether the Noodle Boys are going to be able to equalize D+ Kia with a 2-0 victory here today. That would be absolutely absurd. This is a team that has been middle of the pack at best in the LCK, and they will be equal second at the end of week 2 after being first at the end of week 1. It's kind of nuts, but I'm looking forward to seeing whether they can get it done here as we jump into the rift for game 1. The one very fun thing here, Ox, is the fact that Nongshim literally did just pick all their champions and didn't switch.
Yeah, always interesting when that happens.
Yeah, it's very cool. Whereas 2 switches were required on the side of DRX.
Oh,
I know.
that's not as clean.
It's not very clean. And this is, you know, Pledder's first game back. And probably wanted to keep it clean.
Yeah. And definitely the back foot in this lane matchup. It is one of these situations where Rakan, so a buff he actually got when it was like the Ashe support meta was his Q healing is insane now. And you could actually play into matchups like this. Sounds horrible playing a melee champion into Ashe and Renata, and it is, don't get me wrong. But if you land your Qs consistently, you can mitigate a lot of the damage, and MF has good trading power.
Yeah, so you just like heal it back even if you lose the trade.
Yeah, the healing on that ability is really insane. The problem is you have to try and play against it like Soraka, right? When you play against Soraka, you really work hard not to get hit by Qs, and that's how you win when you're landing poke. So G1 Lahens, it's honestly so important not to get hit by the Q. More important than it is to necessarily get the poke down, because if you get like 2 autos down but he hits a Q, like you don't even actually necessarily win the trade.
Yeah.
So very, very vital that you just don't let Pledder get free Qs off.
Well, I don't think Pledder hit a Q because he just took a whole bunch of damage and there wasn't very much healing as a result.
Yep.
Teddy has been sort of allowed to chill out in this lane. We've mentioned a lot the experience situation, which is the most important part, and I think he's got all of that at least.
Yep. You did see there, Pledder missed a Q, unfortunately, and they pushed up immediately on the back of that. He does have his shield, does have his Q back up, and might miss 1 minion, gets a Q there.
It was actually 2. I think one was a little bit too far
that one's still alive!
Oh, okay, yeah, and that minion is confused.
It's a trooper.
There we go. So it looks like Teddy might be able to get that level 2. Does need 1 more minion to go down, as we are just going to get bored of that whole situation and head towards the mid lane. Ucal just dealing with it as best he can as Gideon just wandering on up. And Sponge, I think, is just going to have to play defense. Ucal, unable to leave, was dealing with that minion wave. Sponge just going to head over towards his Krogs. And already DRX seem to be feeling the pressure.
Yeah, I feel like it's a hallmark of Gideon's style that even though he plays these tank junglers, like Sejuani is one he's really fond of.
Yep.
He will look to gain an advantage in the jungle and find camps and challenge. It's not just like, I am playing Sejuani, I'm a team player. Now fighting against Sponge. Sponge has to be careful. He's already lost in terms of HP. Stun doesn't connect, though.
Yeah, you saw that. It was actually very cute from Sponge. He was waiting so that he could kind of be inside the wall to make sure that Gideon had the least amount of time to react to the audacious charge. But obviously, Gideon just knew that he was going to press the button. So had that one at the ready.
To get a reset coming out from Ju pretty early on. Teddy and Pledder have done an okay job navigating this lane, all things considered. They are trying to push out in return, though. And this is a very early swap from Nongshim. You don't see those swaps come out for the grubs, but this is a good amount before that.
Kind of crazy as well. Lehen sticking around. Kingen going to turn up. That's a great handshake. It's now Kingen dashing forward. Is Teddy going to be okay? That's the question. Already the heal is now down, and the teleport will be invested. As, of course, Rich kind of wants to come down anyway. But Lehen, if he gets another handshake, this could be real dicey. Still, he's taking a fair bit of damage as Pledder sticks around to make sure he helps out. But there it is. That's the handshake we were talking about. Pledder able to grand exit, and he will now go back home.
It's super costly in that situation, and just a bit of an overstep from Teddy ends up getting punished. Rich has to TP down, and again, it's where he wants to be, but it does mean he has to burn that TP to go there a little bit faster than maybe he'd hoped.
Yeah.
Although, actually, I say it's where he wanted to be. He was actually walking towards top lane when he teleported, so I don't think it's bad that he's here, but maybe they weren't intending to swap initially. Kind of got a bit caught off guard.
Yeah, Rich might have just thought that they weren't going to go for a swap this quickly.
Yep.
Often this is kind of the time. It's normally like about now, right? Like on this next wave. Teddy able to move on up though, as they did get word of it very, very quickly. Kingen was going to be coming over here, so Ju up towards the top side ahead by about 10 CS. And the resulting gold advantage is minimal at best, right? It's not too much of a big deal here for DRX fans. As Lehen's moving over just to make sure that Zen is going to have as much pressure on him as possible. Gideon going to come in as well. And Yukal, once again, caught dealing with minions. Aurora just doing the right thing, right? Like, this is what we expect of this champion, is to just keep as much lane pressure up as possible in the early game. And it's working. Gideon's playing off it really nicely. Not going to be able to steal away that Raptor, but keeping the pressure up as much as possible.
Feels like, though, Gideon's spending a lot of time trying to challenge in the jungle. Has actually fallen behind in farm because it's been trying to deny Sponge and just spending maybe a bit too much time, but now has 3 camps to head to in his topside jungle. Meanwhile, Sponge is heading straight to that dragon.
Yeah, I might actually just be able to finish this one off. You can tell that there's not a lot of people paying attention to that area.
Early Ocean actually really a strong one, not only because it means you're not getting an Ocean Soul, but just the sustain in lane is where you get the most value from it.
Yep. As Dew now possibly caught out of position, as Pletter is going to short the hop, unfortunately. Does manage to land the Gleaming Quill, though. Gives them that health back. But there is no one else here, and Dew is just wandering up towards the lane. So that can be a little bit of a worry here for DRX. That's okay. Finally, the knock-up is going to connect. Make it rain coming on down there, as Teddy was really frustratingly minion blocked throughout. That is what it looked like to me. Sponge going to be able to take down that dragon. And heading towards the bottom lane, as we can see here. The rest of DRX then just going to be moving on back. And Rich and Sponge, can they kill the Gwen? That is the question. Teddy also is in trouble. Gideon getting clear out of control. Well, they know exactly what's going on as the cleanse comes on through. Arrow comes down at the same time as Pletter just trying to shield up Teddy, and he does so. Jiu and Lehen so incredibly low, but Gideon, all he needs is a heroic charge, and Jiu stay out of double up range. That would be embarrassing if that was to happen, and he wants it and doesn't get it.
Nearly finds Lehen's there, pretty close. And, you know, it wasn't a great situation, but it is Lehens who ends up getting the kill. I think that's considering how that play started, I think it went about as well as DRX could hope. Not ideal, though. Obviously, a bit of a siesta advantage built up now for Jiwoo over Teddy. But a scrappy dive ends up coming out. So Pletter stays away in this situation because Teddy has cleanse. They want him to be stunned. But then the W from the Poppy just means he can't do much for the start of the play. Saves him for that ignite and that extra auto damage with the E, but then they kind of realize Teddy's dead, and then Teddy finds his window. And look, the shield actually saved him. If he hadn't shielded at that time, could have just died. So I think, as I said, scrappy, but Nongshim getting what they wanted, and DRX, it didn't go as badly as maybe it could have, I think, is the consolation.
I think, I don't know whether his barrier was off cooldown, but it looked like that was also playing a part for this at the same time. Not his barrier, sorry, his Guardian. The shield.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was standing pretty close to Jiu at the time. But definitely the W was pressed, so that's likely the one. Oh, it's W handshake. It's Q, the logistics protocol.
Q is the handshake, W is the bailout.
Yeah, and it's E.
Gives you the res, and E is the shield that I don't know the name of.
It is like logistics protocol or something like that. Emperor's Divide here as Fisher is just pushed back. Does immediately answer with his own ultimate, which is then able to get him to safety. Certainly a pretty useful thing into the Azir, but I wasn't expecting that. Yukali just pressed the button.
Yeah, trade of ultimates there. Hard to make it stick onto an Aurora.
All right, in goes Pletter.
Yeah, some aggressive trading here. One thing is that Jiwoo is now level 7. Compared to Teddy and Pletter both being level 5. So a big XP advantage generated here for the AD carry of Nongshim, although Teddy does just hit level 6 now.
Teddy's really having a rough time, as Fisher is also really struggling. Yukal with those Sand Soldiers, as Jiwoo just throws an arrow towards Pletter and Teddy. They're not going to die, but this is that pressure we were talking about, continuing to mount here against DRX. Teddy will always, you know, be able to find these bullet times, find the angles to get some value. But right now, they are just bleeding gold towards this bottom side. Even that double up, which I felt like with them being so incredibly close, he should have been able to get some value. Still not going to be able to do so. As Rich wanted to dash into the mist here to try and offer a bit of a trade towards Kingen. No one finishing their first items just yet, and Gideon wanting to stop Ambessa from doing all of the things that she wants to do, which is dash all the time and forever. And she's just dead. No way out, no option, and Kingen gonna grab even more plates on top of this.
This is just a strength of the Poppy when you're diving champions in the side lane. There's almost no way you can easily stand without getting stunned at some angle, especially if the Poppy has flash. So easy to set up. They are potentially looking for something here, but Nongshim will back off.
Yeah, I think Hens and Jiu just sensing it, as I think they saw a ward go over that wall, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but they certainly knew.
Yeah, and I mean, even if maybe Rich sensed that a play was coming, not much you can do, and especially on a champion like Ambessa, a lot of your survivability is linked to your mobility, which the Poppy just denies. Didn't really get a chance to press buttons there, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I was waiting for it as well, because Ambessa, she just wants to be able to dash around. That's how she's annoying underneath the turret if you're trying to dive her, but what if you also chain CC her and she's just dead?
Yeah, now I see a scenario where we'll be 6 grubs for Nongshim, which is pretty dangerous for DRX, considering we have this Gwen in the side lane already causing a lot of issues.
Yeah, and there's not much of a good news story, right? Outside of the fact that Yukal is farming quite nicely here in this mid lane, that's where the gold gap is the smallest. But 6 grubs, I think, will be utilized so effectively by a champion like a Gwen in a side lane, as Gideon Lehens now will spot Rich, who does get that ward in, so not going to get caught off guard too badly, but with you now moving over, that could just be more plates going over, and Rich has no avenue in.
Yeah, this is really bad, especially the 6 grubs. The plates can go down so quickly.
Well, there's the first one of this particular push. Only 2 more remain in this lane. Hex Flash gets Gideon out to safety, and the next plate will go down thanks to the grubs and the burn. And Sponge just can't engage onto a Poppy because he's a Xin Zhao. He has 1 dash, and that 1 dash gets a W.
Oh no, Rich.
Oh dear. Oh dear. There's the initial ignite as they throw down the ulti there as well. He gets a whole bunch of shields, and Pleta comes on in to help him out. But I could imagine that that was a bit of a jump scare for good old Rich.
The Ignite committed as well. They really want to shut down that healing. They thought that was a full kill able to come through.
Yeah, they pressed every button outside of their flashes.
Yeah, but unable to find him. Big lead though at the moment for Nongshim. And really all DRX have to show for it is a singular dragon.
Yeah.
And it's Ocean Chemtech as the first 2, so Soul will be a good one.
And we do have Sponge movement on over. They have a lot of vision towards the Dragon Pit as well, so certainly a possibility they can grab themselves at least 2nd dragon of this game, but it's going to be traded for the first turret blood, which will come on down.
Yeah, and with this first turret, Nongshim just need a kill or an objective, and they will get feats of strength.
Yeah,
spoiled for choice a little bit.
Feels a little bit inevitable when it comes to that first one, but you know, feats of strength aren't everything, and there are some scaling options here on the side of DRX. I just feel like the Poppy and Gwen, they just present so many issues here for DRX to deal with, because them together make for such a deadly combination. Gwen, I think 1 versus 3, if she gets accelerated, is something that she can even manage. And so Gideon hits a couple of people with his ult. They don't even need anyone else there, and they may just win.
Just the fact as well, when you're behind against Poppy Renata, it feels so suffocating. So many of the champions on DRX need to dash in to make the impact be felt. And it's very hard to do so against those 2.
Yeah. So a lot of flashes going to be required, you could imagine, especially to get Yukal in position to make these Emperor's Divides actually dangerous. And right now you can see that Fisher does have a gold advantage in this lane as well. Just feels absolutely suffocating. 4,000 gold is now the lead. Kind of out of nowhere is what it feels like, as Rich finds a great trade against King, all things considered. And Pleta looking for a bit of a knock-up as the quickness comes on down. Fisher just going to escape by diving to the other side of his circle, and that's going to work out nicely, but Lehens needs to flash the Emperor's Divide, and they seem to just have the answers as Rich gets a public execution. Gideon cannot tank this up for too much longer, but the flash out from King will save his life, and they're going to look for an inner turret off the back end. This is so clean from Nongshim.
Yeah, so much gold going to come through from this as well. Over onto that Gwen. This Gwen, we said it needed to be answered, needed to be dealt with. It has not been.
1,000 gold from plates to 0 as well. DRX have not been able to get any movement in any lane. It's been Nongshim this entire time. Absolutely absurd. This is just a shellacking. I was expecting this to be a little bit closer here between these 2 squads, especially after, you know, how Nongshim were manhandled by Gen G.
I mean, Rich lands the ult on a Gideon. I'm not sure really what else you can do in that situation. The Gwen just does so much damage. Once you're held still, you're just kind of dead. This value from the Poppy, absolutely massive here.
All right, Teddy, going to be clearing out this wave. Licking their wounds, DRX for the minute. Next dragon going to be a Mountain, as Mountain Soul is the one that we have up and available here today. Would be really nice if DRX could get their hands on that, but unfortunately this is sometimes what happens, right? This is if the 6 grub play actually works, right? If you use the grubs to actually get you priority and then you get it, even if you lose the first couple of Drakes, the next ones are yours, you know?
Yep, and those first 2 dragons are basically meaningless if you can't convert to a soul. Do you see DRX setting up in this area? Look at Lehens. Lehens has no flash, so I think he's a great target to take out of the fight quickly. But if you commit everything onto a support and have nothing left for everyone else, you will lose.
Yeah. On the top side of the map, it is an Aurora taking on this Ambessa this time around. The Gwen very, very close towards this bottom side Dragon Pit. 2 minutes until there is any objective down there, though. And Gideon now moving towards topside. Topside is also where the Arakan is going to be. It's going to be voracious this game. Not quite enough action, as only 3 kills at 16.5 minutes.
And Lehens is playing this defensive position, covering Kingin. He knows the play is going on the top side. He knows that DRX don't want to match, so he will mitigate the pressure they can apply.
Oh man, and you saw it, like Pleta turns up, he's like, aha, now we've got him, sees Lehens and immediately says, don't got him.
Yep. Frustrating to play into, and this is kind of the position you're in when you are at this deficit. You can't match Nongshim pound for pound. You have to find numbers advantages, and Lehens just been in the perfect position to deny.
Well, Teddy's standing on a ward here. Sponge in the area as well. Ju with arrow up and available, but Cleanse is there for Teddy. They could trade the cooldowns if they would like to, but with the back coming on through from Gideon, I don't think Teddy would even need to worry about it too much now that Pleta does set up shop in the area. Teddy now looking to go back. So does have his Swifties and Bloodthirster now complete. See whether he's at least got another BF sword or something like that to add to his inventory as we move towards this next dragon. 50 seconds. As no, it's just 2 long swords.
I think DRX have 2 choices. They can either stall the game out and get to the point where this 4K gold lead doesn't mean as much. But the problem is Atakam's coming for a couple of minutes and Baron in 7. That's not a lot of time.
Yeah, gold lead not also looking like it's shrinking.
Yeah, and the other alternative is you just all in on this fight around Dragon. You're at a massive deficit. I think you have to play pretty much perfectly if you're going to win this. But do you prefer a quick death or a slow one?
Yeah, I think a quick one sounds better. You know, let's risk it. As now Kingin moving on underneath this outer turret. The Rift Arrow going to help knock that one down as the deficit is even larger. And the risk is even greater and the payoff even sweeter if DRX do go for the fight. I'm trying to sell it. This is looking so doomed though, Ox. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think they need to find someone slightly split away from the rest of the group. I think if you're just diving everyone into this backline with a Poppy Renata, you just lose. You need someone off on a tangent.
Oh, that ward. That ward's high value. As Fisher dives in, they knew exactly what was coming. Hostile takeover does nothing as Sponge able to get them out of there with the ulti. This is a lot of cooldowns now eaten. Rich comes in, immediate interruption on the quickness, but still able to get a couple of charms as the arrow finds no joy. The Ambessa gets out of there immediately, and the jungler is dead. Oh, the wallets, Ox. The wallets are just so heavy. And even though Nongshim have missed the majority of their buttons, it doesn't matter. Their mere existence is enough to push DRX away.
Yeah, they can just kind of stand there and do a little bit of damage, and it'll make all the difference. Oh, they found maybe Fisher.
Hostile takeover comes in. That's the Drake being picked up as Rich is going to flash away. Heroic charge from Gideon says good night to the Rakan. And Rich, yeah, he just realizes he's not going to make it out. The bailout was also still ticking, I believe, on the Aurora, and isn't able to find any joy there. And that was what we wanted. We wanted to send it, and look, win some, you lose some, eh?
Yeah, I'm just, this Poppy, you know? Like, they burn some big tools at the start, and then quickness comes in, the W comes out from Gideon, the follow-up's not there. The ult comes out from the Poppy to disengage the play, and that entire engage is gone. And then in this ensuing play, they look for Fisher here. Whereas Fisher look for them. Rich catches, connects, but they just don't have the damage to fall through. And then once again, Poppy charges in, and they all just have to flash away.
Yeah, it was actually Ju that had the bailout, so Fisher would have died if there was enough damage available from the Ambessa. Either way, it is looking very dire here as Rich not quite at 2 items yet. Kingen is well and truly there for now.
I mean, they're doing the Adakan now, and
Letter's going to have to face check. The arrow is going to come in after the handshake, and he does take a lot of damage. They're not going to overcommit, because the Adakan is the option by Sponge. Adakan is just going to be taken here by Nongshim. And this is the problem with a Poppy that gets ahead. You just get to press R from Fog of War anytime you want.
Yep. And this game is feeling dire, you know? There's been games before where you've had a big lead, but you're like, hey, maybe someone will make a bet on their hair, and we'll be able to turn it around.
Yeah, do you think even if I, like, bet on this, that there would be any chance? I don't even think it'd be interesting.
This is what I mean. This is the sort of game where, like, I don't even think there's that caveat. There's not, like, the...
Yeah.
I just think they're so behind with a composition that's...
To be fair, I did think my hair was safe that last time as well. As Sponge and Rich are going to get this one turned on them. They thought they did a fair bit of damage there to Kingen, and in fact, Kingen does have the Adakan buff, so it doesn't even matter if he dies. Snip, snip, goes the Gwen, and Kingen's just playing a game of inches here towards the bottom side, and it's working. Jiwoo might actually get recalled, and so his withdrawal should be...
like, they still have a kill. You know, they got a recall, that's it.
Yeah, it's 8-0.
It is not going well, and I feel like at this point, you're kind of thinking about game 2, you're thinking about what went wrong. At least this is fearless, so you don't have to deal with some of these factors.
Oh, Teddy may just die. Needed actually a little bit extra there, as Teddy was able to utilize his lifesteal pretty effectively. Going into the stealth, and Fisher should be dead now. No, not dead. He's going to be withdrawn now.
I mean...
400 gold?
Yeah.
Pulling it back.
You know, if they get 20 more of those recalls, they would be even. Yeah.
Not sure whether... That didn't make it sound very possible, Ox.
No, because they can only get 5. Well, this is some Gwen magic, and we questioned the leaving the Gwen open. I think we've seen, generally, Kalista be a lot more counterable.
Yeah. This is when I thought he was probably going to die, and it was going to be still, like, doomed anyway, and he didn't die.
Gwen is immune. I think that is the lesson we're learning here.
Yes. And DRX, unfortunately, are not immune. Oh, get over here, Sponge, as he does throw down the ulti, so that keeps him alive. Kingen, I was going to say he's in trouble, but he's probably not.
Big damage.
He definitely is. He's going to try and get bailed out, but it does not work. Keeper's Verdict gets rid of the Ambessa.
That's a real kill.
That's an actual kill.
They're on the board.
Oh my goodness. That is like infinity% more kills than they had 25 seconds ago.
Yeah. Oh, Platter's out. He's fine. Well, it's something. And actually, Teddy now has a gold lead over Jiwoo. I think if you actually just cover up everyone else,
yeah,
it looks pretty good.
Oh God, the jungle situation. I didn't think it was that messed up.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah, 3,000 gold is just a pretty ridiculous lead for a Poppy to have.
Yeah.
Look at the attempted engage.
Good ult from Sponge to buy some time, and then Jiwoo just gets a little overconfident here, especially because I believe the bailout was on cooldown. Actually, no, it wasn't. It gets used here. Yeah, steps up, bailed out, but that's just not enough when you're that far forwards.
The public execution into immediately getting Keeper's Verdicted is very, very funny. As Pletter is just going to run his way out of here. But now the quickness is on cooldown, one of the most important buttons that DRX has for any sort of attempted engage. Not going to be available for the next little while. Maybe they've got a bit of confidence put in them here after that last little skirmish, but Nongshim moving over towards the Dragon Pit, and this is neutral territory now. It's not Nongshim overextending. This is just going to be the Drake picked up second mountain here for Nongshim.
Oh man, mountains with a Poppy who's this fed.
Yeah. And going to have even more armor, so Rich and Teddy are going to do even less damage.
Yep. It's also the Sundered Sky, Dead Man's Plate, like Captain America, launch a buckler at the head.
Yeah.
Dome them build. It's pretty fun. Not for the other team.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're a DRX fan, not fun. But if you're a Nongshim fan and you love noodles, this is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, throwing the plate, you know, it's like they finish their ramen and then they just like frisbee the plate at them.
Yeah.
That's how the Poppy's playing it. That's why Gideon's so good at it.
Exactly.
Ooh, once again the bowling alley. As the Baron is going to be up now, and bounties are there. That's pretty much telling the tale of how things are going for DRX. as out goes Sponge once again. Is that targeted, Gideon? Okay, Teddy finding a bullet time.
Did some damage.
Yeah. It resulted in losing the red buff. Okay, so Keeper's Verdict is on cooldown. But so is the bullet time, and that is basically all of what Teddy can do. But now quickness is back up once again. Kingen gonna have to back away. Or I don't know whether he necessarily had to, but he did back away.
Feels like they're trying to pincer them in, get them to come into Baron, and then have Kingen collapse for that. Azir tower that's up will make it a bit more difficult.
Yeah, we don't know whether the Baron has been started. It has. Sponge, I don't know whether that was where we wanted
That's
to
so much
check.
damage on the jungler as well.
Yeah. All right, we started it. As it's Lehens and Gideon. So actually, have they started it? Not entirely sure. Sponge almost just gets killed. Yeah. So Fisher knows that there is no one that's going to come over here. Jiu finally turns up, and that's going to help them with a bit of extra damage for taking this one down. Kingen should be able to just execute it, basically, from approximately 3,000 health. And that's what we're seeing right here. Wow, this Gwen does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Baron just going to be secured for free.
Not seeing many outs in this one.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, an out is losing the game and hoping that the next one goes better.
Yeah, yeah. And knowing that Poppy cannot be picked for the... Or Gwen.
Yeah, there you go.
Picked for the rest of the series.
That could certainly be a positive. 9,000 gold is the lead. 2.5 minutes of Baron. And we'll see whether they can break over the base on that one. Sponge going to be able to get a blue buff for his team. That's pretty cool.
Seeker's Arm Guard on both solo laners of Nongshim.
Okay. Let's go digging for some good news for DRX.
Okay, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I'll start here. They are still in the game.
Are they?
Yeah. Their base is intact.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have these cool 3 control wards in their red side jungle that make a triangle.
They got the first 2 Drakes, and so therefore it's not Mountain Soul for Nongshim already.
Yeah. Teddy actually has some items. He's close to Infinity Edge.
There we go. They don't have an Azir. That's a negative. They don't have bullet time either, as the arrow is going to hit onto Teddy. He does try to Captain Jacket, as that is a nice ulti from Sponge. They've eaten a fair bit of the engage, but it's only a 1-person grand entrance. And Fisher is now looking to try and answer it. Hostile Takeover finds no joy at all, but it just buys space. They're able to get themselves the inhibitor. Rich is fighting against Kingen and actually doing pretty well in a fair fight. But I don't think that Nongshim have any intention of actually having a fair fight here. They don't really need to, as Pleta gets taken down to half just as an afterthought by Nongshim. Still, they hold them off. They do manage to take an inhibitor, but they're not pushing for the win or anything like that right now.
Yeah, it feels like more silver linings. They've still got 2 inhibitors.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see the replay of this fight. Ult just doesn't do as much damage as you'd hope. Hen's kind of tanking through it. And then here, they kind of fire everything at Teddy. Ult comes out from Pleta and is able to catch Fisher, but not enough follow-up, not enough damage. And it's kind of just flashing away and hoping we don't die.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like here. And so now we're going to see another attempted pick, and it's Gideon. And so DRX realized that 3 people are not enough to...
Is 5?
To kill the Poppy.
7? How many would you need at this point?
Yeah, a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Or just maybe a lot more time.
Or maybe just stronger people.
Yeah. Or a game 2 in a fearless draft scenario.
That could be good.
That would certainly help to deal with this Poppy issue right now. And it's not because Poppy the champion is that broken as well. I mean, she is very, very strong. But Gideon has played extremely well and is so fed in this at this point of the game. And they're looking to turn it onto Sponge. Arrow going to sail by. Not really going to get anything at all. But Nongshim, they can just walk back into Fog of War and go for that play again.
Yep. I mean, they could just head to the dragon, pick that up. 3 dragons, 3 mountain dragons, more importantly. Very strong. And yeah, I mean... Oh, Fisher. I think something that's been talked about a lot recently is how bot lane, how priority is really important now in the early levels, particularly when you're playing... now we're playing standard lanes again.
Yeah.
I think kind of taking the Rakan on 4 instead of leaving counter pick for support was a mistake, especially if you're just going to pick MF anyway. But also, just this like playing Rakan, Xin Zhao into Poppy Renata is like a nightmare.
Yeah. This is the problem. You already saw that the Poppy existed.
Yeah.
And so it was already going to be a really hard time.
Yeah.
Maybe just an assumption that the Poppy was going support. So they wouldn't need to deal with double as bullet time going to come in. Lehens will be taken down immediately. Good knock up there from Sponge, but he realizes Gideon is not a correct target. Kleda going to be taken down as Kingen looking so dangerous, but Rich as well is doing a fair bit of work. Kingen goes golden. My God, the needlework is absolutely terrifying. And there are 2 inhibitors down, remember? So Super Minions making their way towards the base. It is a 2-for-1 trade. And Nongshim with a man advantage are looking to try and end game 1 here. 31 minutes in. And in goes the public execution. I just don't know whether it's going to do anything. And in fact, there's a reason for that, because it didn't do anything. Yukao goes golden, but that is just to watch this Nexus turret go down. That was a cute little shifting sands. And there goes the Nexus. Goodbye. Nongshim with a game 1 win over DRX. And DRX very happy that now a new draft has to be employed.
I feel like Kingen's probably sitting there thinking, I really thought Diana could beat this?
Yeah, or he was thinking, you dummy, Diana was up.
One of the two.
Yeah.
One of the two. But a rough one for DRX. I think there was definitely a lot of things that didn't do them favors in draft. I think they could have definitely given themselves more odds there, but it's not purely down to draft. I think really Nongshim just had such good control of the game. Immediately from minute 1, there was a lot of pressure, and it feels like they never really let up.
Yep, not a lot of options in this one for DRX. And yeah, I think really the biggest silver lining is the fact that they cannot face another Poppy this series.
Yeah, I think they will appreciate that.
Yep, Gideon was really, really good though. We have to say, like, this is a Nongshim that I think are starting to really form into a team that's quite formidable, securing themselves on the top side of the standings pretty comfortably in my mind.
I think the loss to Gen G looked so severe that it really made you question, but that's just Gen G.
Yeah, and Gen G will do that to most teams. Probably not DK, but like that's just because it's always close. They have won 18 in a row. Time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, the space. Gonna break that one down, then we'll have game number 2.
라인 타워 할게. 나 물력 받았다. 아, 살짝 할게, 천천히. 야, 그거. 나 할게. 짜부터. 야, 짜부터. 아, 질것 같아. 이겼어. 쭉 가자. 가자. 아직게. 오케이, 잘했어. 나 끝이긴 해. 뭐야? 야, 끝내자. 아지를 높은 호공. 할 수 있냐, 이거? 야, 이거 근데 할만해. 아, 끝내. 끝낼 듯. 아, 애쉬 바텀 가줘, 바텀. 야, 날릴게, 얘들아. 이번에 궁으로 타워 쳐, 얘들아. 아지를 높은 호공이야. 나 이거 더블 키고 한번 쳐볼게. 미포 노공. 아직게 맞아. 야, 한잔 빼야. 타워. 타워. 아지르 와줘.
With that pothole, I think everything could be all right. Let's see whether DRX can tidy things up moving into the draft here as the Sejuani already taken away from Gideon.
Yeah,
I think Gideon and Sponge both rely on this pick quite a lot, so a pretty important ban this series.
I think Gideon, I feel like he has so much consistency and value on these tank junglers. I think that's where he really shines. Not to say he can only play tank junglers, but it definitely feels like getting him off those gives you more of a chance.
Yep. The Skarner, speaking of those, is still up and available, so maybe something worth considering. But the Vi going to be taken away first, a mainstay in the ban phase. We've seen her banned every single game so far today, maybe even every single game this week. I'm not entirely sure. I think we did see 1 or 2 slip through. She has been a resident of the ban list. Rumble going to be taken off the board now as well.
Yeah, this kind of puts emphasis on like a Jace ban. You know, we talked about the big 4 top laners. Rumble, Ambessa, Gwen. Jace is the one left open and available. So I think unless Nongshim are happy to give that over and play something into it, no, just ban it away.
I mean, this is Rich's highest Mastery Champion by like 100,000 points or something like that. It's pretty absurd.
Yeah, I think it's a valid ban, and it means you move down to the next tier of top laners, which are still fine, but just not as obnoxious as that initial tier. Things are still open and available. Kalista, Varus, which just got completely ignored in the last draft, interestingly enough. Are we going to get banned out? Talia is still available, as well as... Actually, it's...
Nefiri.
Just Talia out of the big mid laners. Nefiri could be banned, I guess, if you're worried about it.
I don't think it would be. Yeah.
Maybe the Kalista ban, I think, makes the most sense here. Because one of the things... maybe Kalista... I wouldn't ban Talia, because if you ban Talia and they pick Kalista, you're going to feel bad. Well, they banned Talia, so... DRX, surely you pick Kalista here. You know, you've just cleared up a lot of the... Like, Poppy's gone, Talia's gone, Vi's gone, like...
Renata is gone, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to pick the Kalista.
I honestly think, like, we see so much Kalista run out. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But Kalista plus Engage support was the OG. It's still very powerful. And they just go, no, we want Nefiri.
Oh, God. The first pick Nefiri. I want to see the win rate on first pick Nefiri, because I imagine it's not very high.
Yeah. Well, I presume Nongshim will just take the Kalista in return.
Yes, they will do that.
Yeah, the other thing as well is Ashe was taken away in game 1. You know, the 80 carry typically
so
play.
Ashe and Poppy both gone in game 1.
They get a tank jungler for Gideon and the Skarner, but this also means, so one of the things you would think also that could play into Kalista is Varus. But you obviously want to play the Poke Varus. Poke Varus into Skarner sounds a little rough.
Yeah, it's Teddy, so maybe a Caitlyn angle could come on through here. You just lock Caitlyn Karma and call it a day from there. Save your solo lanes until after the next ban phase. Put a little bit pressure on them to ban both top lanes and mid lanes, but never mind. It's going to be a victor for UCal. Certainly comfort for him.
Yeah, so see what they take third here. I think if you have priority on an 80 carry, if it's something like the Varus, maybe you have to take that now in fear of it getting banned away before the next rotation of bans.
Yeah. Because I think if it's Varus, Caitlyn, or something like that being banned away here, it doesn't feel like many good options.
I'm just interested, do you go the Poke Varus? I think maybe it depends on the rest of the composition. If Skarner's the only tank, then maybe. But if it ends up a bulky composition, you're going to feel bad trying to cut through it with the Varus. And Fisher toying the idea of that Yone did obviously get nerfed. Now doesn't cleanse CC when you recast Soul Unbound, but still had a lot of great effect. We saw Zach have a fantastic game on it.
He did.
And will be taking that one. Fisher's had some good games on it in the LCK Cup.
Yeah, he certainly has. I feel like Fisher's had all of the great moments and all of the bad moments on the Yone. I feel like you get one extreme or the other when it comes to Fisher. And we'll see whether this is going to be a better one this time around. Honestly, Fisher has just been getting better and better in the LCK thus far. I think he started off with not a lot of expectations. Yeah, it has since just continued to exceed over and over again.
This ban makes a lot of sense. You do not want to give them other options to pair a range support up with the Kalista. I wonder if they even ban the Nico as well, to be honest. I think you want to keep the matchup melee support honest and fair, especially since Nongshim have counterpick for support if they want to lean on that.
Yeah.
Talking over what they might ban here.
Oh man, it's Lehens as well. So there's a whole list of other things that could come out alongside this Kalista. I do think that Kalista Nico is actually really powerful. We've seen it often picked into the Kalista because of the amount of Renatas that are around. But Kalista Nico was a really, really powerful lane. I think one that T1 really found a lot of value with a few years back. So could be an option. Aatrox's going to be banned away, and then the Nico will actually be respected.
Yep.
But like Lehens can now just play Shen or something if he wants to.
But I still think that's better than giving him at least a Nico, because if you have the options of those and you pick a melee support into him and they pick the, you're just gonna have a nightmare lane. At least if it's a melee support, I think you're not gonna get bullied out as hard. To be honest with the Varus, you could actually bully out in return. So they're gonna go for the Nautilus here. Honestly, I feel like you could just go Leona, you could go Rel, you could go Braum. I think these are all fine picks into the Nautilus. I think you're actually pretty happy they went Nautilus support, giving more weight to Kingan's counter pick. But it does mean that Pleta has the opportunity to pick, and I think if you go Braum, I think maybe you go on-hit Varus this game because you are into a bulkier composition.
Yeah.
You don't have the long-range poke, but the thing is the enemy comp is coming into you. It's short-ranged. I think it actually works out well. The only question is, what are they going to take in the top lane?
Just play Gnar, you know? Maybe it's just try and play something that's more difficult to counter. Renekton does that as well.
Yep. To stun a lot of value into the Kalista. Obviously, you have to get to her, but it is point and click once you do.
Yeah.
And now we'll see what is picked up for Kingan in the top lane. Gnar, Jax are options that are available.
Kennen gives you some magic damage.
Yeah, especially considering they banned... Aatrox tends to be pretty good into range top laners. So, like, Kennen could be a really strong one into Renekton.
See what Kingan does want to do here. Instead, it is Cassandra.
Okay, that... I mean, if it wasn't already solidified by the fact that they have Braum, this solidifies it has to be on-hit Varus. And honestly, I kind of like DRX's composition more. You know, they have the strong backline into a short-range composition. Nongshim need to engage onto the DRX comp, who have a Braum, who have a Victor, who have a Varus. You know, yes, Nongshim looked way better game one, but they also had a worse draft.
Yeah. No, I felt like draft was the biggest factor in game number one as well. I think that often leads to a lot of these games that feel extraordinarily doomed because the win condition is hit so incredibly quickly and the draft is very difficult and unforgiving to play out. This time around, I think you're exactly right, Ox. I think blue side has been used exceptionally well by DRX.
And you know what? I think it's that fourth pick support the teams are doing.
Yeah.
Like realistically...
I mean, this makes more sense, right? Because you're not, like, counter-picking for AD, which feels, like, completely wrong.
Sure. But also, like, I feel like you could have just taken Gnar or something. Or, I mean, you ended up with Cassante. You know, you're not using that counter-pick. Like, if you picked Kennen, fair enough. But you're picking Cassante into Renekton. You're just picking a Stabilize. Like, I think support counter-pick has a lot of value. And in this situation, they're not really making use of it. Although, in fairness, with Kalista, you probably want a melee support. And they did ban the ranged options that do pair well with her.
Yep. It is another hot dog as well. You love to see that one. As DRX take to the Rift one more time against Nongshim. See whether they can bring it to 3. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the second game of the series.
Yep.
And if this is a DRX win, we will go the distance. It will be all of the games. And that is fantastic, because as soon as you say go the distance, it makes you think of Hercules.
It does.
And that song is
a banger.
An absolute banger.
100%.
Just makes you feel good, you know? The vibes of that movie, absolutely fantastic.
It's such a great film.
It really is. Like fantastic lines such as, hey, want to buy a sundial? Love that.
Peak.
I wonder whether people still do that, you know, where they walk up and they say, do you want to buy a watch? Because that's what it's referencing. Like, in
yeah.
Does that happen? I was in New York in 2022. They never did that.
You know what? We actually know someone from New York.
Oh, yeah?
His name is...
Brandon
Valdez. Yeah.
Valdez, sorry.
Yeah. Notorious New Yorkie.
Well, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, or if he is ever on this broadcast for any reason at all, I wonder whether he could tell us about whether he's ever had a stolen watch attempted to be sold to him.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to know. No, he's not here. Never mind.
Oh, he's hiding.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to source a stolen watch right now.
Yeah. If that is indeed what he's doing, hopefully Ji-Sung can keep her eye on the other camera to see whether he does come back to give us any information about said stolen watches.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that was a very funny line. And that's just it. Anyway, let's have a look at this bottom side of the map. As no one's. Oh wait, there he is. There he is. Did you buy any stolen watches, Valdez? Can you let us? Oh, okay. So no stolen watches.
Maybe Brendan was the one stealing the watches.
Oh, we'd probably get more shakings of the head there. Even if it was true, he probably wouldn't want to give that one away.
Yeah, definitely deny. Good move there, Brendan. As your legal representative,
Wouldn't he choose Mao to be his legal representative? At least he has a law degree.
Yeah, but, you know, Mao's the sort of lawyer if you haven't done anything wrong, right? I'm the sort of lawyer if you've done something wrong. And, you know.
Wait, what? Don't you only need a lawyer if you've done something wrong?
No, that's terrible advice, Max.
I'm not a lawyer.
No, that's the point. You should, even if you, look, this is how people mess themselves up. They're like, I'm innocent, I don't need a lawyer. And then they end up, come on, man, did you ever watch Better Call Saul?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, well, that's where I lean on my lawyering.
I think those at home are probably looking to hire you over me. I'm just looking to hire Mao over you. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's because you're innocent, you know. Whereas Brendan isn't, so he's definitely looking for my services.
I mean, really, aren't we all innocent until proven guilty?
That's a good line. I'll use that in my next case. I do want to state that legally I'm not practicing as a lawyer because I don't have a law degree or...
I'm not practicing either because I've perfected it. All right. Well, we had some stuff happen throughout the map. None of it being too pivotal, but just a look at some of these crabs. And Fisher as well taking a fair bit of damage here. Is he just going to die? The answer is no.
You can't do
charge up that Q.
You can't do him well in lane. Unfortunately, teleport still exists. So not going to really get achieved much off the back of that. But bot lane's been looking good. Mid lane's looking good. Top lane's good. All three lanes are looking good. And this means Gideon can't just charge into Sponge's jungle. And in fact, Sponge is going to charge into his jungle.
Oh no, there's a hot dog. And the lawnmower is here. The natural counter to a hot dog is in fact a lawnmower.
I've never seen a hot dog win against a lawnmower in my life.
Neither have I. However, I've never seen them do battle, so I have no proof. That it is actually a thing. And as a lawyer, I need the evidence.
I'm sure there's some YouTube video out there. Maybe it doesn't have a lot of views, but someone's like, look what happens when I throw hot dogs in front of my lawnmower.
Yeah, is it like a Will It blend? It's like Will It lawnmower?
Yeah, probably. Someone's definitely done that.
Yeah.
I hope it's doing successfully. I hope it's got millions of views and...
I mean, some of the most successful channels aren't necessarily the ones that you expect.
Yeah.
Like Matt Armstrong, for example. The guy that just buys wrecked cars and rebuilds them.
You know, it's the one I've seen quite a bit recently. People who get like dirty carpets and just like
oh yeah, I've seen a few of those.
Clean them. Yeah.
And what's the other one? Like the building random stuff in the jungle.
Oh yeah, that one.
Oh
yeah.
Those channels really went too far.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. It's like I'm not someone who regularly watches them. But everyone's watched a couple, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, why does this resonate?
Yeah.
It's something.
And also, you know that it's probably all a scam.
Oh, for sure. You know, I've heard that with the cop. Yeah, I don't want to accuse all of them. I'm not, guys. I just want to say, preface, I'm not accusing all of them.
All right. We're going to say that Lehens wasn't accusing Pleta. However, he's going to get angry at him regardless. Winter's Bite stacking up. Gideon here just a little bit late. They are going to be able to get a shove out here to make sure that they can switch the lanes a little bit earlier than that of DRX.
Yeah, so the point I was making is I've heard some of these carpet channels, they will purposely dirty the carpet.
Oh no.
So they can clean it after, and dirty in specific ways to give a satisfying video, rather than a honest, natural carpet they plucked from the wild.
Yeah, I think that that's actually okay, unless you're going to preface it with this carpet is, you know, from ancient times and was found in the bottom of a,
they always say,
river or something
you've got to
like
say that. You've got to be like, yeah, this carpet we picked up from the local...
Yeah, that feels disingenuous to me. Don't like that one
people
so
just
much.
do that, just go on the internet and lie.
I know. I don't think that is a thing that they do. But that's because the people I see on the internet are League of Legends fans, and they are always honest.
Yep. Also, League of Legends commentators. I don't think I've ever lied in my life or said anything untruthful or wrong.
Yep. And every time I have lied, it's either in jest or for a good reason. Okay, Rich is going to ruthlessly be a predator, and it's going to do absolutely nothing at all. Nongshim still with control of these grubs.
I do want to talk
first one as Sponge wanting to secure this, but getting good smite. Gets out, makes sure that the hot dog has to grab the last one.
I do want to talk about how we got to this point, because despite the fact Teddy and Pleta initially had pressure, Gideon came bot, helped his bot lane get the crash, they reset first, and they actually got prio on grubs because of that. So despite the fact we had triple lane prio from DRX, Gideon makes a smart move that allows him to get first move on the grubs.
Yeah, excellently played. It's going to mean that the gold is completely even after what you were talking about there with DRX having a lot of control. And with the 80 carries and supports in mid, we do have just that 1-3-1 style of situation here, given the fact that we have some junglers still milling about. Fisher does have his Berserker's Greaves, recurve bow there as well. Level 6 here for Jiwoo, which does give Lehens a lot of license to go in. There's an all-out onto Rich as he slices, dices, acting all cool, and he's just going to play some b-ball outside of the school. Not dying. Not right now.
Yep, trade of ults. I feel like there's so many times we've seen a K'Sante trade ult for ult with another champion and then just not really lead to anything.
I feel like he also kind of put himself in an awkward spot when he then tried to like get in front of the Renekton so that the Renekton like didn't have a good place to go, but then he gives him a slice target.
Yeah.
It's always awkward.
I mean, in fairness, he kind of just walk through and then eat, you know, but yeah. I feel like he did kind of just give him the layup.
Still, Fisher is going to attack Yukal here. He's going to go back before the Gravity Well does anything there.
Something to mention is that Nongshim's composition, very low damage, and all of that damage is AD. You know, it is just Kalista and the Yone who are really pumping numbers. So armor can have crazy value. Yeah, that was a very Lehens move.
Oh, to throw your lighter at him, you'll love to see it.
Yeah, but you know, it's going to be this like Bruiser Victor build. Varus can go a little bit more tanky in his build with the on-hit variety. So. Yep. I do honestly think that Nongshim might struggle in the later stages of this game if DRX starts stacking up that armor.
Yeah, feels like another sort of snowball type situation here, where right now, no snowballs really rolling in any direction.
Normally you need a Nunu for that.
Yeah, it's very true. Sponge, ooh, he had an idea. Throws one of these hot dog daggers over towards Gideon. What are the daggers in the hot dog skin?
Are they like mustard or are they like...
Do you throw like, it's like,
I guess you
like
spray them.
Packets.
Yeah. All good poke on a Jiwoo.
Yeah.
Does have cleanse, so they can't really commit to a dive that easily, but the poke is making an impact. There's a plate's being picked up.
Yep, plate money going to be the big deal here. Still 4.5 minutes before they go down. There's Rich here in this bottom lane. Even in farm alongside Kingin. In fact, completely even between these two. In that small moment of time. And Rich just happily being a crocodile.
Yeah. Can you believe Renekton is actually getting, I know this is like, I don't want to spoil it, but next patch he's getting buffed.
Oh my goodness.
Morgan on top.
And that's why we don't predict Bro this week. We wait a little bit.
Yeah, good call, good call.
And we still pay the Bro tax, because the reason you pay Bro tax is to get buffs like this. That's your tax dollars at work.
If you're wondering, hey, I've paid so much Bro tax, but Bro are losing, it's because they actually invested them in the patch note team.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, this is the thing. Even though things might be on the down now, that doesn't mean they're not going to come up sometime in the future.
Yeah.
You just wait. 2067 is going to be our year.
They're ramping. They're scaling. So far, not too much action in this game. And I think the positive sign is, even though it's only small advantages, the gold being in favor of DRX puts this game in a much better stead than the last one.
Certainly does.
Not saying much, but it's something.
And I think the fact that DRX feel like they're happy that for this game to go a little bit later as well is kind of important. As Sponge going to move on over. There is so much vision here for Nongshim towards his top side as Yukal does make it into this brush first, but Pletter's going to get engaged on. He's a Braum though, as there's another. It's just his signature move now. The old flash from Lehens. Sponge going to be able to flash out of there, gets himself a shield, and Pletter just being the hero here as Teddy trying to get on in, but he's going to get stunned up. Jill going to be going down for first blood though, and Lehens going to be the next one. There's the stun, there's the kill. And Sponge was basically dead, and then ends it off by stealing away the second kill of the game.
Oh, gotta watch out for Gideon. He's still very healthy.
He is. Doesn't have a massive amount of damage.
Yeah.
This is the scary part. Sponge able to jump on over, and maybe Gideon going a little bit too fast. There it is. Pletter going to grab his first kill. And Fisher just walks up to them in melee range. The ulti used onto Pletter. He's so incredibly tanky. And Fisher just has no damage. Yukal going to come on in and says, that's my lane opponent, and that's my kill.
The value of the Braum in these skirmishes, they just keep funneling in the auto attack, stack, and passive, and everyone on DRX happy to just stack it up. You know, you see this play, and initially they go on a Pletter, and this is kind of subverting expectations for Lehens because he does the ult reposition. The problem is Jiwoo also got subverted. He was running towards Pletter, so he's not there to finish off Sponge. The blast cone keeps Sponge alive. and then the passive gets stacked up. The Q unfortunately misses from Pleta, but it doesn't matter.
Nope. And Jiwoo, what are we doing here? Why are we here? What's happened? Yukel's going to get another kill. Lehens is moving down. Gideon and Lehens don't have a lot of damage together, but Sponge is not very healthy. Never mind, Pleta comes in. Stand beside Braum! As Lehens is just going to walk away. Fisher moving in, spells the disengage from DRX, and they are now 5-0. This is a shellacking just on the other side.
Yeah, and really, the lack of damage point there, very fruitful. These tanks alone, so hard to cut through. Even the Neferi, the Eclipse shield is like such a big blocker.
Yeah.
When it comes up, to you being able to punch through her. They focus down the carries, and there's nothing left to do. So we see here, Jiwoo, isolating alone, does manage to hop over the wall at the end.
It's a bit of a why.
Yeah.
You know?
Dangerous rotation to make. Would have taken a little bit longer if we went another route. Okay, Rich
is Rich gonna be okay?
I don't think so.
Well, he has the Dominus. Decent amount of fury there as well, as he wants to slice and or dice, and he's just not going to be able to. Gets a Ruthless Predator down and then is just dead. Takes some time, but they get there in the end.
Yeah, didn't really get to click his buttons much there. A lot of CC coming through. Nice kill for Nongshim to get themselves on the board. But in the meantime, Teddy and Pleta are going to do some damage to this mid lane tier 1. And
Dragon also hasn't been started yet by any team at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe DRX realized they got those 2 early dragons in the last game and it kind of backfired.
Yeah. So dragons are a bad thing. That's what they've decided here.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Learn from our experiences.
And no team has picked up an objective at all, as we've traded grubs both times evenly, as everyone's able to get at least 1. And so 3 apiece. And as far as objectives are concerned, no one with any lead to speak of whatsoever. Oftentimes now, you can see a team that does have some objective control. It's just not really a thing. All right, Winter's Bite going to connect there as Yukal moving on over. They should be able to stun up Lehens. 1 more auto is going to do it. He's pretty tanky. They don't have a massive amount of damage here with just a Rod of Ages completion on Yukal. So it is Lehens able to walk away.
We'll just force him off. And it just feels such a difference between game 1 and game 2. Simply in the team that has actually got the advantage, but you can see how the pressure being felt and so hard to find windows to step up. I think as well, one of the issues is often you think of like jungle support being able to move around and set up kills.
Yep.
Gideon and Lehens just don't have the damage to do that. You need like an extra person.
Well, they can walk around to set up kills. They just need someone else to do the killing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the important takeaway.
And it shouldn't be Kingin, because that took way too long.
That did take a lot of time. And it's only going to get harder.
Yeah. Fisher here towards the top side. Seems to be getting harder and harder to lane into Yukal at this point. As Yukal's just following him around. Death Ray going to come on through, and Fisher is going to say, all right, I guess I'll leave.
He is struggling.
Understandable decision.
Yeah,
Hail of Arrows doesn't land.
Once again, forcing the hands.
Oh, there's a good old flash. Fisher actually able to get out of there. I don't think the bleed's going to be enough. Gets himself the shield. And so Sponge now has his flash on cooldown. That could be something. Ulti also down for the next little while. Doesn't mean all that much.
Yeah, a little bit of an ambitious play. Maybe hoping Fisher wouldn't react in time, but he still had flash, so I think a bit of an overcommit there. Oh, Rich does have the Black Cleaver.
Yep, all out coming on through here as the Dominus already down, so trading some ults. Meanwhile, there's a fight towards the top side of the map as well. Sponge going untargetable. In the meantime, Rich is just cutting down Kingin. Nowhere for him to go as Sponge is going to get pulled back. He's got a big old shield though, and this is what you were talking about. There's no damage down there. However, Jiwoo does have some, especially with Fisher alongside, as Sponge will finally die. Thrown, well, not. Wait, he's alive! Maybe he's going to be able to get the kill, and now Lehens has nothing!
They have no damage!
Oh no! Sponge getting so much health back as well. Lehens is definitely dead. Jiwoo's also going to go down. This is the disaster you were talking about. It was written on the wall by your friend Orcs. And Fisher just says, well, I guess I'll just try and kill mid.
I think in another scenario, another draft, that would have been the throw moment from DRX, but managing to clutch out, Sponge playing the limits of his character, and Nongshim finding the limits of theirs.
Yeah, and unfortunately a little bit too limited. This wasn't for Rich. Absolute monster Renekton performance. I think Morgan would be proud of Rich here.
The thing is, level 11, the ult does so much taking damage, on top of the fact you have the fully stacked Black Cleaver just burst through him at the end. I think Kingin really not anticipating that. Yeah, not ideal. And then here, okay, 2 tanks hitting him. Oh. He was nowhere near. Teddy actually nearly kills Fisher in the 1v1, but your carriers are dealing with the Varus. And you just see Sponge, the Eclipse Shield, getting so much value. And the sustain coming out as well. And here, Gideon can't even hit him. So low. And then gets the untargetable before he dies. And then gets the shield again.
Oh my god. And so much extra healing coming in immediately afterwards.
Yep.
Oh god, okay. And Jiwoo as well was never really going to have too much hope as the rest of the team comes over and finds him. Rich now facing off against Fisher, but this is a 1-1-0 Renekton now. And that's a big advantage. Pleta gonna move in. He's the Braum. I think they're pretty happy for them to engage onto the Braum, as there is the Chains of Corruption. Gideon gonna get stunned up, and yeah, Nongshim may not have enough damage. DRX have plenty. Fate's Call comes on through. That was an interesting interaction as Rich, he's getting ruthless if ever I've seen it, and Fisher is just gonna delay the inevitable, is what I can see. Q was actually used there by Rich, but he's got another W.
Oh.
And Fisher is almost dead. There's the flash, just to make sure he goes down.
Yep, and rest DRX pushing through mid with this Rift Herald, and you can't really engage onto this. If you engage on a Pleta, he's just happy to take that opportunity.
He was clicking forward the entire time.
Yeah.
When 3 people were discovered in the brush, he's like, aha, this is
like,
what I want.
It's not just Braum, it's Celestial Opposition Braum. It's like the initial damage is mitigated by the Celestial Opposition, and then you put your wall up.
Yeah.
And it's like, well...
And then you press Locket.
Yeah.
And then, like, getting through a Locket shield sounds really difficult for Nongshim's composition at this point in time, especially.
I mean, we always complain about engage Braum, but the answer is just stand in front of them and they'll engage for you, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just shred through Gideon at this point. Sponge, it's the second charge of the ult, so it's going to time out anyway, so not really a waste there. And here, yeah, he kind of just goes what I like to call crocodile mode on him.
Yeah. And Fisher as well, like, he knew that he was gonna die, and so just tries to make the most out of the Unbound Soul.
I don't think he needed a flash, but he just wanted to guarantee it. Like, I think he was in range of his Q after the E, but, you know, it's whatever. He gets the kill, secures it. And it feels like night and day from game 1. 7,000 gold lead in 19 minutes. I can't remember what the exact lead was in the first game, but I think it was somewhat similar.
It was very similar. I think it got to about 9K by 25 minutes. But it was a slow burn in game number 1, and DRX never felt like they had any hope. This is exactly the same feeling in every way.
Yeah.
I don't see how Nongshim is supposed to claw their way out of this. Right now, they are thinking that Arakan could be the way to get it done. It's Ruinous this time around. They do want to pick some flowers.
Wait, they're just not aware, though.
Huh.
They see it. They see it with the minions. They got to move up. They should get here in time.
Yeah, they saw a Callista bouncing around.
It's only Callista damage on this, by the way. This is so slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's only Callista damage that they have, basically. Fisher will turn up, I guess, as now a teleport in from the Renekton. Sponge taking a fair bit of damage. Remember, they're softened up by this Arakan. And Yukal just standing on the side. Jiwoo's going to try and push him away, but he trades poorly. And Pleta, he catches 2 with the ult. Yukal going to be able to take down the 80 carry. That is 50% of the damage. And Lahan's going to go down as well. Down goes Fisher, 100% of the damage now dead. It's a triple for Yukal. They'll take themselves all the flowers. And yeah, DRX, they're 9,000 gold in the lead now. This game is over.
Can't even criticize Nongshim for going for that play because the game was pretty cooked before then. It is now well done. But, you know, they had to try and make a miracle play, and DRX responded in time. I think part of the problem is that they're just so slow at doing this with only the Callista on it. Yukal gets great poke on a Jiwoo here off to the side, so immediately the Callista's low. They then get this ult that catches Lahen's after the flash. They finish off Jiwoo with the frontliners distracted. And then over here, Teddy playing it really well, flashing Fisher's ult as Rich just stands on top of him. Doesn't even get to finish him off because Sponge just does the job for him. And I felt like everyone was doing little different bits in that fight from DRX, but everyone got the fight they wanted.
Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeously played. 15-2, and Pleta hasn't died. Man, this Braum has been a masterstroke on the DRX side, but everyone has just found their own individual success in this game on the side of DRX. It's like, it felt like a complete collapse from DRX in game 1, and now it's a complete collapse from Nongshim in game 2, but it also feels like the other side of that is true. All of DRX is stepping up in this game to make sure that they come out on top.
It's just crazy that, genuinely, if we had names off and you had to ask, like, you know, you would assume that the team who won game 1 and game 2 was the same team.
Yeah.
That's how far ahead they've looked in both games, but it's just been different teams finding a draft that works for them and finding the advantages in the early game. They are now at that 9,000 gold lead at 22 minutes, so a little bit faster pace than the last one, but who is really counting at this point. DRX, only one dragon to the name, so really it's not been the priority this game. But I don't think we're going to get close to a soul, so it's not too much of a concern. They will look to push and take this tier 2 in the bot lane. Fisher needs to get out of there. Level 16 Rich, by the way, to a level 13 Fisher.
My God. 2 items are completed here for Rich, as well as he finishes the Sterix Gauge. And I think that he's sitting on a bit more money on top of that at the same time, as he tidies up this wave and is now going to look to go home. Bounties now online, as the gold lead stretches just shy of 10,000.
Yep.
And oh, that first dragon was taken 4 minutes ago. So there we go. Second dragon going to be up in a minute's time. And I don't think we're going to be worrying about what the soul is in this particular game.
If we get a C, maybe we don't, honestly, at this point.
Sponge jumps towards Lehens. Lehens is just out of there, and that's understandable. We've got 2 minutes until the Baron is even on the map, as this game has been accelerated to no end. And so DRX now setting up for it, kind of wishing that that they were at that kind of stage of the game, given the lead that they have.
Yukal also level 16, and this is kind of the cheat code combo where you get Seeker's Arm Guard, where it's essentially you have the active of Zhonya's without investing all the gold, and then a 10-stack Medjai's. It's like he's got almost 4 items. I mean, they're not as good as 4 full items, but it kind of feels as close as you can get to 4 items while not actually having them.
Yep, I would agree. Functionally, it is a Zhonya's.
Yeah, with I think maybe even a bit more AP.
Yeah. Well, Chains of Corruption going to connect here onto Gideon, but he's pretty tanky. As we're looking for an a Q out of King, and they don't find it. Fisher and Rich at it once again. As now no Unbound Soul and no ulti, as Rich able to get in front of him. Stun comes on through. I think Fisher is still going to be able to walk faster than Rich. Yeah,
it is hard to catch the Yone, but Sponge is coming down. We'll take the camp on the way.
Yeah, one slice coming on through, and there is Teddy on his way down as well. In goes Sponge. No ult for Fisher, and my God, the damage. Okay, it's a 607 Neferi now.
Yeah, Sponge just picking up a kill. You know, he killed the Wolves, he kills Fisher, he kills Gromp. Probably couldn't even tell the difference in terms of difficulty.
Maybe he doesn't want to risk the Wolves.
He sees, he consumes, you know?
Yep. Oh, man, that was absurd amounts of damage from this doggo.
Yeah. That's one of the things as well with this composition from DRX. You know, some comps, you're like, okay, if we outplay this, if we dodge this, dip that, you know, maybe if, like, a poke Varus doesn't hit his skill shots, they can just auto-attack you at this point and they win. They have a lot of targeted damage in CC.
Yeah.
Honestly, if DRX just auto-attacked and didn't really use abilities, I think my money's still on them at this point.
And it's like, to make matters even worse on that front exactly, it's an on-hit Varus. So that's all he wants to do.
Yeah, he can just shred through, which I think was 100% the right call.
Yep.
You know, we've seen teams go the wrong direction in terms of what Varus they are playing. Here, they definitely picked the right one, especially paired with the Brawn, but also into this triple tank front line. He will shred already at this point.
Ooh, Fisher getting on in there. Don't know whether he wants to. And Yukal just going to continue pushing through this top side. The Baron has spawned about 40 seconds ago. And look at all this vision that they set up earlier. Fisher going to have to try and get out of here as 50% of his health just gone. As Sponge is just trying to be frustrating. Gideon throwing some rocks at him, but I don't think that's going to deter this hot dog from getting this work done. Teddy over the wall, just going to help with these Krogs. DRX, they can move back to the Baron whenever they would like. They have a monopoly on vision here towards this top side of Nongshim's jungle, and a hook going to be required to get Lehens out of there. Fleta still hunting, just making sure that they're not able to get a foot in and steal away a red buff, denying that one from Nongshim. Certainly going to be very important as well. Rich is on the bottom side, making sure that there's no split push available here for Kingin or anyone else that wants to be in a side lane. Fisher gets over the wall, knocks up Pleta, and Pleta says, engage on me, please. I would like that. Thank you.
Oh, they have found Yukal.
Yeah, see whether this is going to be an angle. The double knockup comes through from Pleta, though. He just flashes on top of his mid lane. They do not have any damage to take them down, and Rich gets over, finds the Unbound Soul, and Fisher has to flash away. Jiwoo getting taken down so low. He's out of this fight as well, and Kingin is separated from his team. Lehens executed as well, and they are picked apart and mercilessly destroyed. Sponge, looking for it, dashes forward, and there it is.
There's the hot dog.
Yep, Gideon crashes into the wall here, and Teddy just stands his ground. Not going to be dying here. Has the barrier also and picks up the double kill. DRX, they grab themselves a clean ace, and maybe they're going to forego the Baron and just look to end this game.
Looking like we're getting a 6-gamer today, all the way, full distance. Nothing that can be done to defend here.
Nope, lands it up in 1 second's time, but it's not going to save these Nexus turrets as DRX do exactly what Nongshim did to them in game number 1 here in game 2 to bring us to a decider in game 3. And Fearless dictates that it's not going to be this difficult another time for Nongshim as well, but they won't have Gwen this time around.
Yeah, I honestly think we've had 2 one-sided drafts so far in this series. I hope both teams sort of reevaluate and are able to have a closer game 3, a more balanced, fair one. But DRX coming out with a big punch. You know, was a little bit concerned after the game 1. Perhaps Planet coming back on the stage might not go as smoothly as some might hope, but a good bounce back. And I think, you know, winning a game can sometimes be challenging, but bouncing back from a really rough game 1 can be even more so. And DRX did a great job. Some fans of Sponge, who had a pretty fantastic game. Definitely some highlight moments on that Neferi. Neferi top damage.
That's nutty. That's a Varus and a Victor on that squad as well. And of course, it is on hit Varus, so it's a little bit different.
Redeeming the first pick Neferi.
I agree. And that was just a shutout. I know that I think a lot of people probably saw the draft and were like, this is a worry for DRX. But if they had found a snowball in the early game, it would have been equally as unplayable. DRX just finding every angle that they needed to in this one. Time for us to go to a short break, guys. When we get back, the space is going to break that one down, and we'll have to find out who actually the better team is going to be as we head to game 3.
야, 3년 생각하자.
3 봐야 돼 이거. 나 여기서 끌릴게 이거 일부러.
나 걸렸어. 보자. 라켈 탔어.
야 요네 평타. 요네 딜 못해.
야, 뒤에 산테 얘들아. 뒤에 산테.
괜찮아. 산테 평타. 산테 옆에. 궁거리 주지 마.
우리 산테 볼게.
나 올라간다.
산.
바로 치자.
여기 와볼래, 형준아? 야, 나 이거 쭉 가볼게. 요네 노플. 야, 게임 끝내까 보자. 칼리 딸 것 같거든, 이거? 야, 왜 노플이야? 야, 나봐줘. 왜 노플. 아, 해봐. 나 가는 중. 괜찮아. 그랬어.
Words, and that is very easy to do. If you do want to learn how to read Korean, much easier than anything else. Any other language, it is obscenely easy. So you can just spend 5 minutes on a Talk to Me in Korean video, and it works very, very well. Anyway, Talia and the Ahri both banned away.
Do we just get like... No, the sound's different. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's instantly bucking the trend.
I mean, yes,
often
different from the last games. It's not different from the last draft because that would be illegal. We only got Talia.
Yes, so I think the thing that's interesting is Sion we often see picked into Jace. And now I think DRX
have to ban Jace.
But if you ban Jace, Rumble's open. So they just go with the Vi.
Oh, wait, but then... All right, so it's getting either Rumble or Jace.
See, I actually don't think the Rise was that good, because I think if they banned Jace, then Nongshim have to ban Rumble, and then you get Sejuani. But now I think Nongshim just banned Sejuani. I mean, so DRX banned Sejuani, other way around. DRX, I think you ban Sejuani, and you let Jace Rumble be traded. Don't give them Sejuani.
I think they always take the Jace in that instance, though. Is Rumble good enough?
That comes down to Rich.
And also, Kingen likes Rumble more. So the Sejuani, like you say, definitely the highest priority. I agree.
So it's Jace, and then you get the Rumble. That ends up being the trade.
And the funny thing is, I would much prefer Kingen to be playing Rumble, and I'd much prefer Rich to be playing Jace.
Yeah,
but based on the players.
Gotta take the favor of the matchup.
Yep.
But still, Nongshim deciding they want to free up the top laners and move a little bit of a different direction with some of those bans. You're not pressured to take the Rumble right now. You can leave it to 3. Interesting to go for the Lilia here, considering, again, maybe they want to go in a different direction, but I feel like if you're going to take the Rumble, you don't want Rumble Lilia as that. I mean, the ult combo well, but it's a lot of AP.
Yeah, this is not my favorite either. MF has already been picked, so it is just going to be the Corki locked in.
So I actually think this Corki could be a really heads-up pick, because we saw it earlier flexed, and they have the potential to do that here. Potentially an 80 carry that you can bring out, or a mid laner that has an 80 damage profile. Oh, and Nongshim looking at the Nico Nocturne. That is a deadly combo. Orianna Nocturne, also a deadly combo.
This one can be messed up, and we haven't necessarily seen it be super effective. But the Orianna Corki, wow, a matchup, a tale as old as time. Almost as uninteresting as the Corki Azir. As there is that Rumble you were talking about. And it doesn't break the sleeps, so I guess there's that to talk about if the equalizer does come down. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Does the initial damage break sleep? Do you need to be able to get the sleep to go off, and they're just walking on the equalizer?
So. I think it's just I think it's all dot, so I think it's fine.
All right.
I'm pretty sure you can just drop it on top.
So a fair bit of comboing between these squads right now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where this Corki goes. That is the only flex that we've had from either of these teams. Whereas Nongshim kind of face up, and now looking at the bot lane picks. Again, I think DRX now going forwards in the draft to the advantage because they have counter pick and they have that 4th pick. I don't want to see what we've seen in the previous 2 games, which was the 4th pick fumble, or you blind that 4th pick and get countered. That being said, if they do ban Elise here, and then maybe something else ranged, they could end up in a position where they're not punished so hard. Maybe there's a scenario where you end up blind picking, but there's still a lot of engaged supports left available, right?
Yeah.
There's still your Rel, your Alistar, Leona. I don't think you're locked into really early prioritizing something in here. Although Alistar does well into Leona and Rel, so maybe the Alistar's the prior. But if you take Alistar and they pick a ranged support, you're kind of cooked.
Well, Ziggs is actually going to be the takeaway. That is odd. I wasn't expecting a Ziggs angle here, given the Orianna that was already in position with AP.
I think it's a Xayah. I think Nongshim should ban Xayah right now. Ziggs really good in Xayah, but also Xayah into Nocturne Orianna, one of the few 80 carries who can survive it. If you have a Nocturne Orianna combo, you often want to ban Ezreal Xayah here, so I think they will take that away, and they do.
Nice.
A good move there.
And now the picker, I'd kind of like just a Rel. Like, I wouldn't mind it.
I think the only problem, if you take Rel, they take Alistar, and Alistar, Orianna, Nocturne.
True, Alistar's still up.
And Alistar's still good into the Rel. I think if you're going to pick a support here on 4, it should be Alistar. I like the Kai'Sa for 2 reasons. One, I mean, it's a crit. Actually, the problem is it's a crit Kai'Sa, but you can build a Zhonya's and feel less bad about it. This might be a game where you need to.
Yeah.
The only problem is your lane matchup into the Jhin feels a bit rough. They go the Zeri instead. Zeri, Alistar, really good pickups. And now, you know, Pledder's been fantastic on Rel, undefeated so far this year in Challengers, but a lot of people favor the Alistar matchup.
Oh, Blitzcrank would be fun.
It would be fun.
Hitting a Zeri with a Blitzcrank hook.
I think Rel makes the most sense with the composition. You need someone to set up the dive. You need someone to set up that AoE damage from the Lily and the Rumble.
Still just feels so hard, because like you were saying, like, the Rel locked in on 4 would have then been immediately answered. And I did sort of, like, I was thinking about Pledder being so good on the pick. But like you say, into the Alistar and into the options that Nongshim have right now, it just feels dicey. And you can see, yeah, I imagine that DRX is going to have to finagle their way into a positive position in this game. Maybe some funny business, maybe some shenanigans. I think
Nongshim have a lot of strength, right? You have the combo of the Orianna Nocturne, you have the follow-up from the Zeri, the Alistar. That trio is so strong. The Jace also good in lane. A lot of positives for Nongshim coming out of this draft. I think they did well with their blue side. On the other side, you know, I think in isolation, the draft from DRX is fine. It's just, I feel like Nongshim have come out better. But like you have the Kai'Sa Rel is a strong combo. You have the Rel for Pledder, which you know he's been very proficient on. And the Rumble, And the Lily, if they get the ball rolling, you know, a lot of damage. If you're diving into like the sleep, the equalizer, you can definitely get a lot of return damage coming through.
Yeah, that guy's wondering where something is, but that is the extent of what I could read. Nongshim fans, I think pretty happy that Nongshim went back on the blue side. I think that their draft, like you say, looks cohesive. We've seen Jace be so incredibly strong, especially today. Really does seem nigh unbeatable. She very early on certainly demonstrating how strong it can be. So now, in the hands of King in here, we'll see whether it once again has such a performance. It feels like there's some synergy here as well, as the color coordination looked pretty good across the board. This hodgepodge, a bit of a rainbow, is absolutely fine, and you obviously have to take Jackie Love's skin. Let's dive under the rift for game 3. All right, man. DRX fans extraordinarily loud as Rich is almost just dead. He flashes. I feel like they were already kind of backing away at that point in time, as now Pleta dives in on towards Jiwoo. And the Ignite already employed, as Yukal's already here as well. And Teddy is going to join in. Down he goes, first blood, picked up by Yukal. And the woes of Jiwoo continue.
Just as I was saying, this is a really bad start for Rich, losing your flash in a lane that's already Jace favored. And then Jiwoo just flat out dies.
Hey, Jiwoo didn't lose his flash though, he only lost his life.
Yeah, I still think that Yukal definitely appreciating that. Unfortunately, he doesn't have time to recall and maybe pick up. To be honest, I don't think you can pick up much anymore from Fierce Blood Gold. When they added the feats of strength. I was thinking of Cole, but I don't think you get the 400 anymore. It's only 300, so...
Yeah, I think you can almost... You get boots, you could get a longsword, or you could just decide to get nothing and just go back to lane.
So, yeah, good play from Pleta coming out to answer what the Hens did. Both supports being proactive level 1. I feel like the impact is going to be felt more, though. Despite it being a whole kill from DRX, I think the impact is going to be felt more from for Nongshim, because that flash advantage over Rich, you know, pinging with the electrocute on JC is looking to pressure this lane. You're going to feel that for the next 5 minutes, whereas...
I think Fisher's still feeling it.
I don't think you can really blame Jiwoo for this, though, because Yukal hasn't backed. He hasn't bought anything, you know?
Yeah.
This is just Corky.
You can still blame him for Yukal having the extra 400 gold.
After he recalls, then you can blame him.
Yes.
So that's what Fisher should do, you know? If lane goes badly, just wait for the recall, and then when it goes badly again, then you blame Jiwoo.
Goes and picks up his orb, and that is going to eventually even out this trade, as Yukal is through most of his mana already. And honestly, I think Yukal can play kind of recklessly here, because he wants to be going back as early as possible, right? To make sure that he has that advantage as soon as he can. And so trading with Fisher so that Fisher is more inclined to go home as well is certainly going to be important. So he's drank his potions, and he is
honestly
to maybe even look for one now. There it is. So Yukal going home.
Fillable tier. I feel like that'd be such a good pickup. Actually goes to Dagger instead and gets a health potion. So I guess he had a bit more money than I thought. But in this situation, gets the tier and is going to be able to push this wave in just before Yukal shows up.
Yep, Yukal is able to purchase a tier himself, but does not have that extra dagger worth of
I'm not really stats rating the dagger value that much in these early trades.
Hey, it depends. Like, if you get an extra auto attack off in said trade, then you've done an extra auto attack's worth of damage in the trade.
So true, actually.
Yeah. I thought I couldn't be faulted there. That being said, don't necessarily understand whether the value is going to be too massive. Teddy and Pleta still playing pretty aggressively here towards the bottom side. Jude still licking his wounds from that earlier death.
So a reminder, we got to see stats at the start of the series. Pleta 9-0 on Rel so far in 2025.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
So definitely his best champ right now, despite the matchup that is, a lot of people's opinion, favored towards Alistar. I do think we've seen really rough times where Alistar's completely bullied the Rel, but I do think it's not one of those matchups. Like last game, we had Nautilus and a Braum that never feels fun.
Yeah.
This is definitely, like, there's ways you can play around it. There's
I feel like you have to...
Yeah,
and you have to really, like, make the right calls. It's about who has the right abilities off cooldown at what times and things like that to make sure that, you know, the Alistar can get ahead.
Yeah.
It's just basically crash down and headbutt work well for Alistar.
Yes, they do.
You know, that's kind of it. Still going to have Shattering Strike to get a lot of value. And Pleta can set up for the rest of his team, and that's going to be the main thing, right? You can also play around the Alistair as Lehens and Jiwoo looking to try and turn this. They couldn't quite decide who they wanted to kill.
Yeah, you see neither support actually got what they wanted there. Pleta was trying to Q through Lehens and also hit Jiwoo, but was a bit short. And then Lehens was like, I'm going to go for Teddy, but wasn't quite in range. So they kind of just both ended up hitting the other support, and nothing really came from it. But I love that we're in game 3 and both supports are really testing, trying to prod and poke and find an angle to punish. They're not just kind of sitting there and farming and waiting for things to happen.
And now DRX, with their jungler present, looking to try and make something happen. There is the sweep on the ward.
I also think
able to grab that money.
It's actually interesting. The more you fight in lane, not only does it like get people's health lower, but also it makes it easier to set up for a gank. Because if you just play lane all passive, and then as soon as the jungler's there, you're like up in their faces, it's very obvious.
Yeah. As Rich getting taken down very, very low. That's using the last of the blue stuff here on King inside.
Yeah, I think Rich should be able to clear this wave out. Is close to level 6 as well, which is kind of a cheat for the Rumble that you can just use that to kind of clear away. Now, we have got the recall coming out from the Hens. He's making a move already towards the Grubs. Pleta's going to be a little late, but does help secure the shove for Teddy.
Yeah, pretty late as well as far as any sort of swap is concerned. Oftentimes we see it at around 5 minutes or it's already 6 minutes.
This feels
AD
like
carries are still bottom lane.
This feels like a bit of a security swap because they're already on the Grubs. You know, doesn't look like there's going to be any contest from our perspective, but it's just like in case they come over, I want to be there just to back you up. And it looks like Sponge will just trade for the Dragon on the other side. He's actually getting very low on this Dragon, but does manage to finish it off. Chemtech again, so no Chemtech Soul, which always makes you feel good about the potential for a good Soul. And Pleta is covering.
Yeah, is that going to be enough?
I think it will.
All right, well, Headbutt Pulve is going to connect there onto Rich as Pleta gives away his position, but also tells Nongshim to get the heck out of there.
And this is like a flipper game 1 where we saw Pleta trying to be proactive, and then Lehens would be under the tower like, no, you have to leave. This is just the reverse, where Pleta is the one blocking Lehens from playing the game and having a fun time with his top laner.
Yep, you can see both AD carries making their way towards bottom side, but it's going to be Teddy that gets there first. BF sword in hand, as well as those double daggers. And Jiwoo did manage to get to a BF sword himself.
Yep.
And you can see the gold lead between the two AD carries is actually not that big. That's because all that gold lead is on Yukal over Fisher, despite the fact that the CS is relatively close.
Yeah, seen a bit of a lead with King and over Rich. Not really a surprise, kind of expect it from this matchup. Ninja Tabby, sorry, plated steel caps coming out from Rich.
I think you can still say Ninja Tabby.
Still say Ninja Tabby?
You sound cool, like you're cultured.
Yeah. If people don't know that, then, you know, you gotta look in the... It wasn't that long ago, you know, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
It really was not that long ago.
Wasn't it, though? I mean, Ninja Tabby was... They would change... Like, what about the dodge version of Ninja Tabby?
That was a long time ago. Didn't people... Wasn't that like a thing with Jax?
Yeah. You take all the dodge runes and Ninja Tabby and you have like 50% dodge.
What a weird
That was
mechanic.
when Counter-Strike was way different as well.
Yeah.
Where you could activate it based on how many times you've dodged. Stuff like that. It was super strange.
Very... Past look at some of the League of Legends thing is kind of crazy.
And you needed a specific rune page, and you needed to like spend currency on all of the runes.
I remember when you started to buy rune pages, because I had this rune page I saved up for, and it was full magic pen. And guess what champion I ran it on?
Who?
Tom Kench.
Oh, that'd be sick. Your tongue lash would do so much damage. And Rich is going to have to flash. He gets out of the way, and Lehens tramples him, but he is going to be able to make it back towards his turret. Yeah,
it was a trade of flashes there. Lehens does activate his Hex Flash, that's nice, but not able to actually catch Rich out. Was trying to set up his top laner. And now they're going to look for a dive onto Jiwoo. He does know it's coming, he should just back off. It should just be plates. But this is kind of the cost of Lehens making these roams top. Rich nearly has his ult. 8 seconds, this is so rough.
Well, there's the paranoia, and yep, he's just dead. So no way in. Just needed to sack that wave, I think.
Yep, and if his ult was up, he could have just ulted the wave, but it's just coming up now.
And he could have even like left the first few minions, stayed in Fog of War, and then pressed it. Maybe, you know, Gideon would have spotted him because he was heading towards that brush anyway. But still, just felt like heading over towards that turret was just a bit dangerous.
Yep, seeing some different investments coming out from the two teams. DRX trying to put some gold in the pockets of Teddy. Nongshim putting gold in the pockets of Kingin. And I know Rich feeling pretty rough right now on that Rumble. Yeah, the Magic Pan Tom Kench, level 1 Q, did so much damage.
Oh, yeah.
Back when he was a support, just whacking them with the tongue.
And also, like, that was a great room page to have. Like, Magic Pen was the highest value because you couldn't get it from many other places.
Exactly.
It was like haunting guys in Sorks. Like, that was the only thing.
The thing is, like, a lot of champions, even if they're not necessarily AP heavy, like, you're not going to build AP on them. Just the magic damage, the flat magic damage, the Magic Pen had so much value. There was the... Because that was when Ardent Sensor meta. Everyone had to buy all the gold generation runes because that was part of the tech.
Yep.
To maximize the Ardent Sensor rush.
Yeah, and then there were certain back timings that you had to be utilizing as well to make sure that it all worked.
Buying pink wards was illegal. If you you get flamed by 80 carry if you ever dared to buy a pink ward instead of the Ardent Sensor.
Yeah, because your build was was their damage potential.
Literally. And the healing as well was the absurd thing, you know?
Yep. Oh, what a time to be alive. I made so many bad decisions, though, when it came to buying runes. As flash forward here from King and gets on top of Rich. The equalizer goes down as Gideon wants to come on over, and yeah, Rich is just dead. Sponge, not going to be able to find anything here. Even spins around on the spot. It was a cute pirouette, but not going to actually get you anything.
This is not good for DRX. Top laner going down. Not quite a solo kill, but King just able to jump on him and force the play.
Oh, wow. Lehen's just coming out of nowhere. Has the ulti available. Flash out from Sponge, tries to create some distance, but it's not going to work. And even the turret loses interest in the cow. Got a couple of minions left as well. As now teleport coming in. Pleta, can you find the angle? The Magnustorm is up, and he flashes over the headbutt. That was so sick from the young support. As down goes the cow. That's Rich on the board now as well. As they're even looking for more. Kingin going to be avoided, and the Void Seeker does not get there. Fisher's in the mid lane, kind of by himself. But Sponge grabbing his first item, and DRX, I mean, I think that was a good enough band-aid to get them back into this game.
Just tragic if the Void Seeker hit, or maybe if Teddy was a bit closer when the play happened. If he was able to kill Kingin, that would have been a big influx of gold.
Wow, as soon as he was in vision, he's like, we're killing him.
Yep. A little bit close before the Nocturne shows up, but then here, you can see Kingin, sorry, not Kingin, Teddy just a little bit later to move on the map. I think Sponge should have just slept. He was trying to hold it until later, until he could get all three. Just ended up kind of backfiring because he died first, and then Teddy is just a little bit out of range. Because the passive's on Kingin right now.
That was such
I think it's a Nocturnal actually is the reason he can't ult in. And then the passive timed off. It wasn't the range. That's really unfortunate, but also credit to Gideon for essentially saving his top laner.
Yep, really nicely done. As Kingin looks for Yukal. That's a nice flash as Rich is coming over, but Gideon was chasing him down. There's a Dustbringer to finish it off as well as Gideon. What an incredible day this guy's having as well. Maybe not in game 2. Game 1 was all him, and he picks up a double here at the back end. 1.5k the lead just for the Nocturne. And Fisher is, I feel, the biggest benefactor as he's just staying in mid.
Just chilling, farming. And I think, you know, something we've praised DRX for in the LCK Cup was the strength of their solo laners. Really dropping the ball here. Yes, Rich is behind. I'm not blaming him for being at a deficit with how Nongshim played, but him and Yukal just both got caught out there, opting into a fight against this super strong Jason that backfiring massively.
Yeah. And I think they see some of the shutdown gold being available. They say no. Killer Instinct does push Teddy in, but the headbutt immediately gets him out of there. Pleta not going to be able to find the angle as Teddy completely out of mana as well as Sponge. Now going to get discovered. There's the paranoia. Oh, God. That is just, that doesn't even need to be the good old combo there with the Shockwave paranoia. That is just dead.
Yeah, very...
Why?
I just feel like the top side of DRX kind of having a bit of a mare in this game. Some questionable decisions.
Yeah.
Some good plays from Nongshim that have forced them into questionable positions, and then some where I'm like, did you need to be there? Did you need to try and make that happen? And now, I mean, you look, there's 2,200 gold between top laners, 1,500 between junglers, 630 between mid laners, where basically nothing has happened. And now, a tower goes over to the Zeri, and the one place that had a lead in the AD carry roll, it's gone.
Yep. That's going to be evened out. And so Nongshim find themselves 5,000 gold ahead, which is an absurd advantage that just ballooned kind of in the last 3-4 minutes. That's what it feels like.
I mean, I feel like if a Nongshim fan took a nap after game 1 and woke up for this game,
they would wonder how game 2 got them here.
Yeah, and they'd be like, why is the series still going on? But also, wow, we're playing great.
Yeah, they definitely are. Still, they have to destroy the enemy Nexus. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what has to happen. Sponge is now looking to grab the second dragon for DRX, which I think is optimistic with a Nocturne. Paranoia unable to be used just yet. So that might actually give DRX the avenue in here. And Teddy comes on over, and that is going to mean Soul.
It's an Infernal Soul, which is...
yeah, so not Soul Point just yet, but one away.
It's nice, but you know which other game? DRX got 2 early dragons and had a massive deficit? Game 1. And
that was the not good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, they never saw that Soul.
Well, maybe this is the different game. Maybe this is the one where it's going to work. As Pleta says, yeah, it absolutely is. There's the Magnet Storm. He pulls Fisher over, and Yukal is going to be able to collect his second of the game.
Getting some good considering how far behind they are, getting these picks is actually really important in clawing their way back. Yes, they lose bot tower, but you know what? They were going to lose that anyway.
They certainly were.
So at least they're getting something, finding something to happen. Unfortunately, they don't get Fisher's flash. I think completely right decision. I think once the ult comes through from Pleta, pretty hard to flash and not get away from it, considering he sped up to you and then flashed himself. But it does mean he's going to have that up again if you try and punish him in the future. Now, Rift Herald is spawning, and I think Nongshim heading over there.
Yep, that's where they're booking it. Kingen and Lehens making their way over, as we can see. Having a look picture-in-picture at the replay here, as it was a cute little flash to get out of the flash up pole. And that is why a bunch of those buttons are on cooldown. It's not really on cooldown, though, for Lehens, because he has Hex Flash.
It feels like Lehens has beef with Rich, and not just because he's playing Alistar. It generally feels like he's just been kind of picking on them in this game.
Yeah.
And it's been a good investment so far. We'll see what King can do, but Jace Isfed is a very scary prospect.
I do think that the Rumble only needs a couple of items to find relevance in teamfights. Base damages are just high, so levels will still be relevant.
Levels do go a long way, though.
Oh, God, look at the gold there. He's double his gold.
Not quite, but not too far away. That statement isn't unrealistic.
Yeah, it looks like that when you have a look at just the length of the bars.
Bar length? Then yeah.
Yeah. You're right, though. The math does not check out. But oftentimes when you do math on stream, that's exactly how it goes.
Yeah. It's the pressure.
Yeah.
It's like when you see people on like those, what are they called? Like the TV shows, the quiz shows, and they just make the biggest fumbles. And you're like, I would never make that fumble. I'm like, yeah, but you're not on.
Yeah, exactly. If you had all of that pressure, it'd be a different story. Is the charge going to bypass the first turret because that was already dead? And now in goes Lehens, gets the headbutt back onto Rich. What do you have against this man? He still does get the equalizer down as another Magnet Storm comes in from Pleta, but he unfortunately just does not have any backup. There is no one else here to get anything done. Jiu just explodes with all that electricity and isn't able to get any of the kills on this Zeri, but the rest of the team certainly capitalizing.
Yeah, both supports looking for an angle to engage, and ultimately Lehens goes first, and Lehens' team is a lot stronger.
Yep.
They're able to follow through. 7,500 gold lead, sorry, right now for Nongshim. Massive. I think this might end up being the biggest so far.
Yeah, and every single game has been a complete blowout in every direction.
Yep. I think Rich just have to play a bit further back. I don't think it's a big issue if you get comboed, but getting knocked in is terrible. Then here, King is a bit split, but the Nocturne ult is so powerful, not only for killing Sponge, but also how is Kai'Sa supposed to follow up? She can't even ult to the target.
Yep. And it was once again another one of the Paranoia Shockwave combos. And that meant that Sponge had nothing that he could actually do in response. DRX still trying to get out on the map and make things happen, but honestly, their map has become a whole lot smaller than it was originally. Gideon not getting sleepy this time. In fact, I haven't seen a Lilting Lullaby. Feels like all game.
I don't think he's used it yet.
It feels like he's never really had an avenue to.
Yeah, I think he's waiting to try and hit multiple people, but he hits one person and then just dies. And usually the person he's hitting is Alistar, who... Not the most value for using it on Alistar, who can just press ult to remove it.
And we also have Artican spawning relatively soon. It's going to be Ruinous again, just with all the biffo that we saw earlier on in the game. As far as damage done in lanes, of course.
Oh man, Ruinous with Infernal is...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Nongshim are theoretically just going to stack up 4 of them unless they win before that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm seeing. All of the money is on the top side of the map. Kingen, 4.1 thousand gold in the lead.
That's such a crazy lead. I mean, look, the items.
Yeah, he's 70 CS up and he's 404.
He's not even just like a whole item up. He's a whole item plus some change. You know, Dirk vs Amptome.
Yep.
It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, and they're laning against each other, but actually, really, it's just Rich getting bullied. is what we're seeing. Thankfully, he has an inner turret to try and protect him. But look at this. Look at how far up the vision is here for Nongshim. They have full control over the enemy jungle, and this is exactly how you win games. Like, look at all the camps that are available on Nongshim's side of the map, but they're never going to be claimed by DRX.
Yep. Just complete control, shut them out of the game, and keep building up the goal lead. We'll see Sponge able to get these Raptors.
Yeah, there we go.
Will we? Will we?
Well, Lehens is going to try to deny it.
I love how that Raptors take, it feels like a Dragon steal, you know? It's like, that's how tense it is. Managed to sneak it out. It's like, good job, guys. We got the Raptors. It's like, okay, they're just taking Dragon. Yeah, they don't actually care that much. They just wanted more kills.
We've got pings coming on out towards this top side of the map. King in with a shock blast, puts Rich's health bar to half. And he is going to be able to grab a whole bunch of these flowers as well.
You know what? We see so many players just not pick up the flowers and actually walk past them.
Yeah, nice one.
Respect to King in for just soaking them up. 35 flowers now for Nongshim. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's pre-Atakan. If they get Ruinous Atakan, they're going to have so many flowers.
It's going to be like 60 flowers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, Yukal is just going to leave, and I don't blame him.
Ow.
Wow, even jukes and still gets hit. Feels
It's
bad.
a pretty big AoE.
Yeah.
Now it's the sort of time where normally we're like, hey, could they throw at this objective? I think DRX need to actually reach the objective for them to be able to throw at it.
Yep, and it's a 3-level lead in the jungle. Huh. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sponge really has not done a whole lot this game.
You got that Raptor camp earlier.
That's true. He did get that Raptor camp. I apologize. There was at least that. This Atakan, I don't know whether DRX are going to be able to stop it at all. Even getting past this Orianna is going to be enough of a problem as Pleta takes half of his health bar from an attack dissonance combo. Was that a shock blast? Yeah. So Sponge loses half of his health bar as well as they clean up all of these flowers.
Take the flowers at least.
Yep, they did do that.
65, 66 now in flowers.
What the heck?
That's a lot. That's a substantial number. Oh, but DRX are 5.
Huh. 6. Oh, wait, no, 5. Yeah, you're right. Looking at the wrong stack. Yeah.
That's another thing with you controlling the whole map is you get more flowers.
Or all of the flowers is basically what we're
well,
saying
not
here.
all, because DRX got 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, all -5.
Yeah, all -5. It's an understandable pick.
And maybe those 5 were really pretty flowers, you know?
They might have been the better ones. Like
maybe they were Nongshim's favorite flowers, and that's why they're so upset about...
Yeah, and maybe DRX were like, we have the 5 prettiest ones, we don't need to get any more.
Yeah, but maybe Rich picked Kingan's favorite flower, and Kingan just that upset him greatly, so he decided to demolish him.
Well, that would explain it, because that's precisely what Kingan is doing to him this game, as we saw there, based on the gold advantage. 4.1 thousand is still there.
Yeah.
Half the gold lead is just this top side. Yukal transforms his Manamune, and I don't know whether that's going to transform his future. 9,000 gold, 22.5 minutes into this game, and DRX just not looking like they are even capable.
Yeah, Kingan has 3 full items, and Rich has 1.
Yeah, he's got a Fiendish Codex. How dare you? That's a completed component of an item.
They actually nerfed it a while ago. I don't think it gives as much AP as 2 tomes anymore. It's like 35.
Oh,
2 tomes is 40.
Oh no.
It's so sad. Oh, but no, I looked at the stacks in the bottom left and it said I saw the 6 and I was like, wait, they got 6? No, they don't have 6. That's Nongshim. Nongshim is 66. I made the same mistake you did after you made it.
Yeah. It's the cinders. You had a cinder problem.
Wait, yeah, we got the cinders and the flowers. It's double. It's the most stacking you can get.
Yeah, we are stacking a lot. We needed a Nasus in this game. Then we could stack, like, Nasus and Viger. That would have been the best.
That would have been peak.
Yeah.
Then maybe DRX would have had a chance if the game went on for 3 hours.
Exactly. They also needed to be the team that got all of the things that were stacking, because it's Nongshim that's kind of getting all of those as well.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. That's all right. Pleta looking for another angle. Yukal coming on down here once again. And there are a couple of members on the top side. DRX could theoretically overload, try and make something happen. There's 1 minute until the Dragon. Not a whole lot down here for them to really fight for, apart from Kingan, who is, you know, a decent amount of money being represented as far as bounty gold. So there is at least that. And this turret is not long for the world as well, if they can actually get a wave towards it. So that might be why they were hanging out down there. Orcs, it just doesn't feel like DRX have much of a chance.
You know, I think it is.
Nancy, is that what it is? Am I just being too pessimistic?
Maybe a little, because we haven't seen the Lilting Lullaby yet. So.
Oh, true.
Okay, picture the scenario.
All right, I'm trying to picture.
5-man Lilting Lullaby.
Oh, okay.
Into 5-man Equalizer, and they all just sit on the Equalizer for the full duration.
Oh.
Then.
And Yukal also Valkyries over the top of them?
Yes, and pops his E.
Oh.
Then Platter follows up with a 5-man Magnet Storm.
And
then Teddy presses Q.
Got
and then Nongshim turn around and kill them all.
I was waiting for that. And then it's Paranoia Shockwave, everyone's dead.
Yeah. Oh. Why did you call Valkyrie when there's Paranoia Shockwave up? Can I just ask?
Yeah, well, I mean,
that'd be the question.
Yeah, that would be an odd move. As Lahens is just going to get Sponge out of here. The Baron is getting taken down so incredibly low. There's the Paranoia. Even though the ward is there, it does not matter because they turn the lights off. And now they go in, but the flash does come through. Equalizer comes down. This time, it might be an opportunity as Pleta will be traded for the jungler, but down goes the Alistair as well. DRX, maybe they have them where they want them.
And here's ult.
Rich, yeah, Teddy goes in. He flashes out immediately, though, and now it's Sponge's turn. Can someone please get Sleepy? Never mind. Oh! Already used it, that shock blast. My God, and look at that, like Moses. Jiwoo splits the blue sea, I guess, because it's DRX.
I think Kingen remembered he had a gold lead.
Yeah.
Oh, it was looking good for DRX.
They still won the fight, but the Baron is still there under 3. So.
It looked good until Kingen hit a shock blast, and then it no longer looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bit more hope now, though.
And also, you know how there was a lot of damage that didn't happen to DRX? That was mostly because they flashed a lot of things.
Yeah. Are you saying that Flash has a relatively long cooldown and perhaps they won't be able to do that again?
Yes. So they start to pump damage in Lahens. The combo comes in. It's a great flash from Rich. Turn it around. Gideon, he's on Nocturne. He's exposed now. They follow up, and
Platter is dead.
Poor Platter.
And the Dragon is too.
Yeah, couldn't flash out of that one.
Well, Voidseeker hit Lahens.
You know what? I think we saw enough in that replay when it looked okay for DRX. We stopped before it started to look not okay for DRX.
Yeah, I think that was good. And then when we went back to live, it looked bad for DRX as well.
Yeah. Teddy hasn't died yet.
There you go.
And you know what name they give Teddy?
The Fountain Laser.
Exactly. So if he starts doing 1,000 true damage per second, I think it's winnable.
Yep. He could also possibly use the Fountain Laser to help him not die when they're killing his Nexus.
Valid.
Yeah. May not actually help them with the outcome of this game, though. That's the big problem, as Yukal is looking to chase down Jiwoo, who just skates over the wall.
You know, I always thought the Fountain Laser built a rapid-fire cannon and could attack a little bit outside the fountain. It would go a long way.
It would. It would, in fact, go the amount of units that a rapid-fire cannon extends your range away.
Yeah, a little bit more useful. Like, you're protecting Boris, and that's it.
Yeah.
Clearly, Boris only pays for his own protection.
And honestly, like, Boris goes away when the game goes away. So if you extend that, then the game doesn't go away and Boris doesn't go away.
Yeah, if the game goes on longer, more gold is generated and Boris makes more money. So you could put a finger out a little bit, you know. He could do a bit more. That's all I'm saying.
And all right. Wow, that was a flash invested for what feels like just an extendo beam. As two inhibitors.
That was a Hex Flash.
Oh, it's just Hex Flash.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Splash is out of the fight. If you can really call it that.
Was he ever in the fight?
Yeah.
Let's see. They got to make a miracle engage attempt. Last chance.
There's an equalizer available for Rich. I mean, Pleta does have his Magnet Storm available. Doesn't have his flash, but he can theoretically go for a Hex Flash or something. Headbutt Pulve there from Lahens as the Magnet Storm is now going to be employed, but immediately there goes the combo right on top of Sponge yet again. They don't manage to finish him off as double kill for Gideon to start this one off. Sorry for Yukal to start it off, but Kingen is actually just a monster. He's the entirety of this team right now in just one champion. He's down to 50%. Yukal does get his health bar back, but the Nexus is naked. And Rich, he also gets his health. That's a big one. And this is a big one as well. Rich goes golden, in goes Yukal, and Kingen gets a shield. Jiwoo, I don't know about that one. You had no more friends left as Shock Blast almost just murders Yukal straight up. But the Nexus, it's still standing, ladies and gentlemen.
They still managed to keep this game alive. I genuinely think, though, if Kingen didn't exist, DRX could win this game.
Yep.
Sadly, he does. They end up getting this trade because the Hen's just trying to stop the engage, and Pleta goes, whatever, let's just trade 1-for-1. You're worth more than me anyway, buddy. They go for this combo, and somehow Sponge, he gets to sleep off and actually survives. Yukal goes in to finish that kill. And then Kingen says, oh yeah, I do 1 million damage.
Yeah. He's done a bit of realizing that throughout.
Yeah. And then this gets a little bit scrappy, you know, despite the fact that DRX is already far behind. There's like a low mana bar on Fisher, the Zhonya's stops Kingen's damage. It's sad they didn't kill him. And then Jiwa just steps a little bit too far and gets toasted. 747 gold for Rich there, by the way.
Hey, that's pretty cool. That's a plane.
It is.
Yeah. So Rich can now afford a Zhonya's. As Gideon might actually get sleepy. There's an equalizer. This is a choke point as Kingen's their target. He's trying to get himself out. He's gonna survive. That is so unfair. The Orianna also doing so much work here as he takes down Sponge. Out goes Yukal as well. And these wallets were already way too heavy. And then Nongshim decided they're going to drop them on their heads. Look at this. Kingen's like, no, we are so done with this game. And he's going to come on over and put the last few autos into this Nexus. This was an arduous series on both sides. But Nongshim, they stomped twice. And DRX only managed to stomp once.
Yeah, well, I think we said don't let Kingen get wet. Probably don't let him get Jace. Definitely don't let him get Rumble. Probably don't let him get Ambessa either. Maybe just don't let him get a champion. I think maybe that's the solution. Because let him get Diana. Diana, you should let him have Diana. That's what you needed to do to stop Kingen. Because he kind of went crazy mode.
The only man who stops Kingen is Kingen himself.
Yes, Cassante, not feeling it. But the other two picks, he was feeling pretty good. Making a big carry performance. Obviously, got some help from the team to set him up there. And DRX, you know, they had two definite rough games, but I think they can be happy. They showed what they could do in that game too. It wasn't all doom and gloom.
Yeah. And I think Gideon, like the desk was saying, our space is really talking him up after game number 1. I think he is absolutely fantastic. Sponge having a very forgettable game on the Lilia. We know that Lilia can be a very, very promising champion. I think that didn't really work. It was kind of a product of the draft, perhaps, maybe.
Yeah, I think as well, I feel like Sponge, to me, is this player who, when he gets a lead, we saw him in the Neferi, but I think he often is quite feast or famine. And he's playing a lot of these picks where they are feast or famine, you know? Lilia went behind, just kind of eased the ball over, went ahead, feels like she's super speed, demonic, can't touch her.
Yep.
And it just felt like this was such a one-sided series in every game, despite it being a 2-1. It was just one team stomped, the other team stomped, the other team stomped. I think, like, if you think of the average gold lead at 20, it must have been like 8,000, 7,000 or something, which is insane.
On both sides. So blue side looking very, very powerful. By the way, Orcs, if you have anything in mind, you can add it to a player of the match comment, and that segues beautifully into our discussion of who could potentially be picking it up. I think Kingen's probably the obvious choice, but I want to give it to Gideon. Is that weird?
I think it's a completely fine one. I think Gideon is a pretty good vote. It is not the one I went for. His Poppy was really good. But you know what I voted for?
Kingen.
The boom boom damage.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. He kind of just went nuclear on them. There was some disgusting moments. I also love, like, the thing is, when you're fed, it is easy just to kind of dominate fights, but even that laning moment where he just jumped on Rich's head and stomped him, that was quite great.
Yeah, it was. And honestly, like, it's so weird thinking about, like, player of the match for this one, because you want to give it to the player that played well in all 3 games, but like everyone on Nongshim just kind of got clapped in game 2.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of hard not to think of, oh yeah, but this happened. And a lot of these Orianna combos to come through from Gideon and Fisher did kind of work out. That one, obviously, you could see there, they're like, oh, we nailed it, but then they just kind of died. So that's why this game extended for a little bit longer than it otherwise could.
Yeah, a little bit goofy, but at the end of the day, it is still a Nongshim taking a win. And the only team they've now lost to is, once again, Gen G.
Yep.
Most analysts are saying rather good.
Rather good is exactly right. And Nongshim now, having lost a game here, have now evened out their scoreline with D plus Kia. So I believe they share second place at this point. If my math is
no, I don't
correct.
think. I think they're lower in game score because they got 2-1. You said they needed a 2-0 to equalize.
No, 2-0 to get second.
Oh.
So they could leapfrog, but DK, they It was 1-2, so they didn't get the extra win.
Oh yeah, because
And so Nongshim only go up to 6
we're doing that thing again.
as far as
doing
games
maths.
scored. Yeah, so never mind. Yeah, no, the math is not good. The math is not good. Take it back.
We're doing maths on stream. We gotta win.
I did math on screen.
We need help.
And I made a mistake. I made an error. Unless there is one less loss, but there isn't. So never you mind. They are 3rd place, but they are very comfortably 3rd place ahead of Hanwha Life Esports, which is very impressive.
Some big boom damage from Kingen.
Yeah, sometimes. So you know how we say like don't vote for the boom damage. Sometimes the boom damage is so boom that you probably should vote for the boom damage.
Yeah.
They held on to an 8K gold lead for like 12 minutes. 12 minutes. That's a lot of time to just be dominating.
We're going to see in a moment. Did we go for the
It's
damage?
Gideon!
No, it's Gideon.
Oh my god! I really was expecting the boom damage to come through.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Poppy game, he obviously did really well in. I think he obviously had a huge impact in the Nocturne game. We don't talk about game 2. I think it's a fine vote. Honestly, I feel like it's not going to be... I hope it's not going to be only Megon for Kingen, but I doubt it is. A lot of
What? There's no chance.
Will.
Yeah, it'll be like a 50-50 and it'll be a tiebreak, and then Chronicler voted for Lens or something like that.
It's his birthday.
Kind of like in the first
You can't
year.
flame him, it's his birthday, you know.
No, I'm not flaming. I'm just saying that like that's probably what happened. But like not that that's a bad thing. Lens
He
had
does
a really
that,
good game.
and we love him for it.
Yeah. So I think we can hear from Gideon now as well, which I think is the important part, right? Like, because getting an interview with a player that I think is a real up-and-comer, that is I think very, very fun. Sometimes you want to just hear from Lehens every game because he's just a really good interview. But I want to know why Gideon is looking so much better. And guess what? Deer is going to translate the interview for us right now.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation, joined by Gideon on the side of Nongshim Red Force. Congratulations!
기두온 선수와 인터뷰 나눠보겠습니다. 오늘 승리 짜릿하실 것 같은데요. 승리 소감 들려주시죠.
How do you feel, Gideon?
오늘 좀 긴 하루가 됐는데 그래도 2등을
That was such a long day for us, but
2등을 확정지어서 기분 좋습니다.
네, 승리 진심으로
we're able to win with a 2-1 score and take the sole position of second place, which makes me so happy.
너무 좋아하시는데 한마디 부탁드릴게요.
Oh, it looks like your family is here. So happy to see you win. Yeah, they're my family. They're here on site. I'm able to show them win in front of them, which just feels so great. Gideon, this is your second POM already. It reflects just how much influence you have on the team. So, how do you feel? I feel like my team does really well for me. And, you know, I would say that Lehens is the one that always makes me play better. So I want to say that I'm grateful for him. So what's something that you worked on? I think with Lehens, we would talk about a lot of the macro plays. And we would always work on everything that we need to improve on. And in game 1, you had a great top dive setup with Poppy as the front line. So were you the one making the shot calls? You know, I prefer playing dirty plays and making dirty plays with Poppy. So I think that's what I really try to proactively do. And I did make the shot calls. And in game 2, in game 3, you took Jace, Doctrine, and Orianna comp. So can you walk us through the draft? Because we got target banned with the Sejuani ban, I think we really wanted to try to take and prioritize Jace as the first pick. And did you know Caster Prince mentioned that you remind him of Cloud Templar back when he was a player? So how do you feel about this? You know, I really do look up to Cloud Templar and lots of respect to him, and it's such an honor to hear something like that. And next week, you will face the mighty T1 and Hanwha Life Esports, and it won't be easy, but with today's confidence and momentum, you guys will do so great. So what mindset will you play with? I believe that Hanwha Life Esports and T1 are one of the best teams in the world, and it won't be easy, but we will do our best, and all 5 of us will do our absolute best to prepare for that match and hopefully get a good result. And the upcoming Loli Night will feature the bot lane of Nongshim, Jiwoo, and Lihans. So what kind of chemistry can the fans expect? No, Lihans actually treats Jiwoo like his own son. So I think if you can expect something like a father and son type of relationship from those two, it would be really fun to watch.
자, 그렇다면 오늘 이제 승리도 했는데
We will be looking forward to watching that Loli Night. And since you have finished the night with a good win, will you be eating some Nongshim Shinramen? Yes, of course. I will finish my night with that. And that's the end of the interview with Gideon, and back to the space. Thank you.